Hey guys. This is part 6 of What If Naruto Was Adopted by the Goddess Artemis. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 7, Calm Before the Storm. Talia still couldn't believe she spent a whole afternoon comforting Naruto, and up in a tree no less. She shuddered at the thought. Time seemed to fly by as they talked. They never even noticed the sun setting. Naruto, being the gentleman he is, brought his companion down to the ground as gently as he could. They made it to the dining pavilion as discreetly as they could. They didn't want the camp to get the wrong idea or make it an issue. But to their surprise, the campers gave them knowing looks as they walked up despite coming in one at a time. Before the two even made it to the pavilion, they could already smell the food that the harpies made. There was pizza, barbecue, which Naruto couldn't care for, and of course his never-ending supply of ramen. Braziers and torches were hung up on the posts to keep the campers warm in the cold winter months. And as camp tradition, Naruto still questions the tradition to this day, the cabins had to sit separately on their own tables. Naruto immediately spotted Percy sitting alone on the Poseidon table. Each of the other tables had a few campers each. Even the Hermes table, who was normally brimming with campers sitting. On that table, he saw Nico and Bianca fitting in. Naruto narrowed his eyes at what he was seeing. It seemed like the brothers were fighting over her, much to the girl's annoyance. "I'll join Percy today," Naruto said. "I haven't seen him in 2 months. "All right." Talia winked and made her way to the Zeus table. Naruto, on the other hand, walked over to his best friend in camp and joined him for a meal. "I don't suppose your dad would mind if I sat here in the meantime?" Naruto asked. "Nah, bro," Percy said. "He's pretty chill when it comes to you." "Cool," Naruto answered and sat down in front of Percy. This brings me back," Naruto said as he brought out a pair of reusable chopsticks he got made in Konoha. "All that's left is Grover shouting something about enchiladas," Percy added. The two of them turned to look at their sadder friend. Sadly, he wasn't running as he yelled about his favorite food. "Yeah, that was pushing it," Naruto said as he chuckled. "I guess he doesn't have to run to a cafeteria to get some food," Percy answered, chuckling. It was quiet except for the laughing and giggling coming from the Artemis table and the ruckus the Knot twins Connor and Travis were making. A couple of the hunters were arm wrestling, not one of them giving the other an inch. In the other tables, though, most, if not all, of the campers were eyeing the head table. To be specific, they were eyeing a certain gray-haired, masked camp counselor who was chewing some food despite his mask still covering his face. "How does he do that?" Percy asked. "Beats me," Naruto shrugged. "I have been trying to know about that ever since I was a genin." Naruto's mischievous grin returned to his face. "I just thought of an awesome prank for Kakashi-sensei." "What do you have in mind?" Percy asked. "I think I want to expose Kakashi-sensei's face," Naruto whispered so his teacher wouldn't hear him. "Are you sure you can pull that off?" Percy asked. "My friend, life finds a way," Naruto answered. "Don't you mean I'll find a way?" the son of Poseidon clarified. Naruto shrugged. "Nah, the first one sounds better." "So," Naruto took a sip of the broth of his third bowl. "What's up with you? You looked devastated before I came over here." "Yeah, Dad's trying to blow it up, but the old sea spirits are preventing him from doing so, or so that's what Tyson said," Percy explained, sliding his slice of barbecue back and forth in his plate. "What?" Naruto almost yelled that out. "But I blew up that ship last summer." "Well, it looks like they have some powerful stuff are backing them up," Percy suggested. "It seems so," Naruto said, his voice trailing off. "What else?" "That can't be the only one on your mind." Percy's plate seemed to be intriguing as the raven-haired boy stared at it when the blonde asked his question. "Well, it's getting pretty lonely in my cabin. I miss Tyson." "Same here, dude," Naruto answered. "How is that big guy anyway?" "Oh, he's doing good," Percy said. "He's loving the job. I see, that's good, Naruto said. What about you? Percy returned the question. You okay now? Yeah. Naruto twirled some noodles on his chopsticks. Talia really let me have it a while back. So, what will you do now? Percy asked. You got kicked out of your own cabin. Naruto growled. Yeah, I didn't want to say it in front of her, but where do they come from kicking me out? I feel you, Percy said. It's bad enough we aren't allowed to sleep in another god's cabin. He took a sip of his blue coke from the never-ending goblet. So, what will you do now? Naruto didn't get to answer. Chiron took that moment to raise his own cup and tapped it with a spoon. I'd like to propose a toast to our guests, the hunters of Artemis. Chiron's voice boomed throughout the dining pavilion. The campers raised their own goblets and cheered half-heartedly. It seems like they weren't too keen on having the immortal maidens over. I mean, given the camp's history with them, it's no wonder they weren't too happy. After the clapping died down, Chiron continued. I hope you have a nice stay in our camp this time. Now, I would also like to formally welcome our combat instructor to camp. Please all welcome Mr. Kakashi Hatake. Kakashi stood up and waved to everyone. We've already met this morning, but I am glad to be here and teach all of you. Who's your godly parent? Someone blurted out from the Hermes table. As if to illustrate the point, a glowing symbol of an owl appeared over his head. The campers looked at him in awe. No wonder you're so smart, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto yelled out his comment from the Poseidon table. Kakashi didn't say anything. He was stunned by his claiming. After all, this was the first time he had witnessed the event happening. It is determined, Chiron said as he knelt in reverence. All around the pavilion, everyone, except the hunters, followed the centaur's example. That's not necessary, everyone. Kakashi tried to stop them when he noticed what everyone was doing. Athena, he began. Goddess of wisdom, strategy, warfare, and the arts. Hail, Kakashi, son of the wisdom goddess. I'm telling you it is not necessary, Kakashi insisted. Just go with it, Grover said. It's part of our tradition. Kakashi nodded as he rubbed the back of his head and beamed a smile. After that ordeal was over, everyone returned to their seats and Chiron resumed his announcements. Now, the next order of business, with the hunters here at camp, Naruto here has to be relocated in the meantime. Does any cabin want to welcome him to the cabin for a while? We'll gladly take him. Lee Fletcher, the head counselor for the Apollo cabin, announced, earning nods from his siblings. After all, he is our cousin. No, he'll sleep in our cabin. Silena Beauregard, the head counselor of the Aphrodite cabin, countered. We will welcome him with open arms, right, girls? A bunch of the Aphrodite campers squealed in delight and nodded vigorously at the thought of Naruto joining them in their cabin. We'll take him. Malcolm Pace, one of Annabeth's siblings and her second-in-command, yelled, then continued with a wink. I'm sure Annabeth would want you to welcome you into our cabin. You can also tell us all about our new brother. Oh, he should sleep in our cabin. Travis and Connor Stoll, the not-twin counselors of the Hermes cabin, volunteered. Think of all the pranks we can come up with. And we could get to know our new additions to camp. They gestured to Bianca and Nico, with the former having a blush on her face with a get-to-know the part. Arguments broke out throughout the cabins. Pretty soon insults were being thrown at one another. Now, not one of them was now reasoning on who should take Naruto in. Talia tried to present her own case, but he was quickly shot down by the camp director. Absolutely not, Ms. Grace. I know what you hormonal teenagers are up to nowadays. I will not leave two campers alone in a cabin. He scolded, causing the much younger demigods to have a look of confusion, and the older demigods to blush at what he was implying. Now, get this over with, and let us go to the campfire. The arguments and insults returned after Mr. D's outburst, causing the activities director to sigh. Does this always happen? Kakashi asked. I'm afraid so, Chiron answered. Should we stop this? The Jonin asked again. Just give it a moment, Grover said. With a loud sigh, Chiron raised his hoof and slammed it on the marble floor, silencing the arguments. Alright, that's enough arguing for one night. His voice boomed throughout the pavilion. I didn't expect so many of you to offers your cabins. In hindsight, I kinda saw that coming, Grover said, causing the Jonin to shrug. So, you won't argue any longer, Chiron continued. Why don't we let the guest choose where he wants to stay, shall we? Me? Naruto asked. Well, I haven't really given it much thought, but tonight I want to stay at cabin 3 for a while. It will be just like old times. Nice! Percy cheered as he raised a hand for a high five with his adopted brother. The other kids let out a collective awe at the decision from all the other demigods. But, Naruto raised his hand. I could spend a night in the other cabins too, even just for a night. Cheers were heard from the other tables at Naruto's suggestions. Alright. Chiron silenced the crowd once again. Before we turn in for the night, I would like to remind everyone of our goodwill capture the flag game tomorrow night against the hunters tomorrow. Groans could be heard from those who stayed at camp longer. Something tells me that we're playing at a disadvantage against tomorrow, Percy said. Yeah, but that's not gonna stop us, is it? Naruto said. We're going to get those, Percy said. Whoa. Naruto stopped the boy. Even I wouldn't go that far. Oops, my bad, Percy chortled. Better not let them hear that then. Naruto let out a laugh of his own as he shared a laugh with the boy he considered his brother. For the first time that day, Percy felt good. He was thankful to have someone to share the cabin with. And more importantly, he was thankful to share his problems with so he wouldn't have to go through them alone. Somewhere in the west coast of the United States, a blonde-haired teen woke up on a dark hillside that was shrouded in fog. By the looks of it, you would mistake it for the underworld. The girl looked around her, breathing quickened. One thought crossed her mind. Oh no, she looked around. The place seemed very spacious. You couldn't see the roof above, just continuous darkness, again fueling the theory that it was in the underworld. She began to trudge up the hill. All around her, there were old Greek columns of black marble like something blasted the place to pieces. Thorn! Annabeth cried out. Show yourself, you coward! Why did you bring me here? She continued to climb the hill and made his way over to a section of the broken wall that was at the crest of the hill. What she saw next made her gasp. It was Luke. The fog and darkness seemed to be unusually thicker around him. He was crumpled on the ground trying to rise against an unseen force. His clothes were in tatters and there was a look of desperation on his face. Annabeth! The demigod called out. Help me! Please! Without thinking, she ran towards him, letting the voice of concern overpower the voice of her reason. She had tears in her eyes. Despite everything that this man did, Annabeth still cared about him. She raised her hand forward to touch the boy's face, but she hesitated at the last second. What happened? She asked. They left me here. Luke groaned in pain. Please! It's killing me. Why should I trust you? Annabeth asked, but the mere thought of asking that hurt her. You shouldn't, Luke answered. I've been terrible to you. But if you don't help me, I'll die. A crumbling sound came from the darkness above, just like an earthquake shaking a cavern roof. Huge chunks of rock broke off from the main spire of darkness, and the whole ceiling dropped. Annabeth moved to catch Luke and eased his burden even just for a bit. Surprisingly, she was able to keep it from collapsing with just her own strength. Luke rolled free, gasping, and coughing from the effort. Thanks, help me hold it, Annabeth called out. Luke caught his breath. His face was covered in sweat and grime, but Annabeth could see an evil smile strewn across his lips. He rose unsteadily. I knew I could count on you, Luke said darkly as he walked away. I knew you would take the bait. Where are you going? Annabeth yelled. Help me! Oh, don't worry, Luke said as he let out an evil laugh. Your help is on the way. It's all part of the plan. In the meantime, try not die. The ceiling crumbled again, pushing Annabeth to the ground. Cabin THRE Naruto sat up on the upper bunk of Percy's bed. Sweat made his shirt damp and his hands were clawing at the sheets. Naruto turned to the saltwater spring that gurgled along. Naruto gripped his fist. He had just seen Luke bait Annabeth into a trap. He couldn't blame the daughter of Athena, though. They had spent their childhood together, and she still couldn't accept the fact that the older demigod had betrayed camp. He looked out of the window and saw that the light was creeping from the setting sun. He immediately thought about his uncle, the god Apollo. That meant he had slept in that day if the rising sun was any indication. After all, the sun god sets out late in the winter. He stretched from his bed and sat up. Percy stirred on the bottom bunk as he woke up from a snore coming from his own nose. "What the?" Percy complained as the rays of the sun blinded him. "It's morning already." "Pretty much, yeah," Naruto said. "What's up with you?" Percy asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Tell you later," Naruto answered. "I think Grover should hear about this too." "If you say so," Percy relented. After that brief exchange, Percy and Naruto got ready for the day. Percy loaned Naruto some clothes since he didn't get a chance to go to his old room and get some supplies. Fortunately for him, Percy's clothes fit him, but they were a bit tight given that the blonde was more buff than his brother, so the shirt hugged his muscles, outlining them and highlighting them much more. That morning, before going on a shower, he decided to drop by his mother's cabin to pick up some clothes despite what the hunters might think. A few of the females who woke up early found themselves with their mouths hanging open as they watched the blonde walk to the Artemis cabin. "I just wore something tight today," Naruto sighed. "A couple of waves, hellos, flirting Aphrodite campers, and close your mouth." Something might fly ins later, and he made it to his mother's cabin. Knock knock, he knocked on the door. He found this weird as he didn't have to do this before, but he pushed that thought aside for a while as the knob turned and creaked open. "Who the hell is knocking?" The girl opening the said in an irate manner, but she caught herself as she recognized who was waiting at the door. "Oh, it's just you, hello?" Naruto waved, giving the girl a smile. "Phoebe! Who is that?" Zoe's voice called out from the inside. "It's just the mistress brat," Phoebe yelled back. "What?" Zoe said, then the lieutenant's footsteps could be heard stomping to the door. "You still don't look like much." Those were the last things that the hunter said as the lieutenant yanked the door open and confronted the blonde. "I thought I told thee," she began, but was cut off when Naruto raised his hand. "Save it! I know what you're going to say," he answered back to the hunter's lieutenant. Zoe wasn't expecting that. He thought her mistress' son was some kind of pushover, and the rumors that spread throughout the godly world were just that, rumors. He even relented too fast when she tried to ban him from his own cabin and table without much fuss. But here, now in front of her, the air around the blonde was different. Not wanting to back down to a mere boy, the lieutenant postured to assert her dominance over the situation. "Did thou just talk back to me, boy?" Yes, I did." "Why? Not used to this happening?" Naruto asked with much spunk as he can. "Why the little?" Zoe tried to charge the blonde, but she was held back by her fellow hunters. "No, Zoe, don't," Phoebe warned. "The mistress wouldn't like that." "But he—" Zoe grit her teeth and stared daggers at Naruto. "Fine." She held her gaze. "What do you want anyway?" "Look, I didn't come here to argue, you know," Naruto said. "I just came here to get some clothes for a few days. Percy's clothes don't exactly fit me." He gestured to the shirt he was currently wearing. A few of the girls gulped at the sight, but they held strong. "Why don't thou just live with it for a while?" Zoe challenged. "Thou art getting the attention you want, am I right?" She pointed to the different girls who were watching him as he spoke to the hunters. Naruto turned to look behind him. The girls around him feigned ignorance and pretended to return to their daily activities. But they were so bad at hiding their attempts of watching that Naruto saw through the facade and sweat dropped at that. He sighed and turned back to continue the conversation with his mother's right-hand woman. "That's not the point here, Zoe. Let's face it, I'm not really asking. I have as much right to this cabin as you," Naruto reasoned. "Fine." The immortal lady gripped her fists. "Make it quick." "I'm glad we understand each other," Naruto said as he entered the building, sending nods to the watching hunters. Some of the older campers sent him flashes of annoyance while the younger ones briefly considered him. He opened his door and entered the room. The hunters tried to peek into the room to see what was inside. Zoe had to admit she wanted to peek into the room to see what made their mistress' sons so special. Unfortunately for them, most of the furniture were not facing the door. They will have to rely on underhanded tactics for this one. Naruto packed a small orange bag designed with a simple check mark, the branding of which the hunters swore they saw somewhere before. He filled up his bag with clothes enough to last him a few days. He didn't pack everything as he knew he would be coming back in this room anyway. He looked at something taped on the door of his closet. They couldn't see what it was, but he looked at it with a sad smile. He stroked it with the back of his hand and closed the door. The blonde exited the room and locked the door. He didn't say another word as he walked past his sisters, but he stopped at the door to get one last word in. Zoe, we can settle this tonight at the battlefield. He didn't wait for a response as he left his own cabin. He wasn't proud of what he had done, and he knew that it would set him back from earning the acknowledgement of his sisters, but he didn't want them to push him around anymore. Hopefully, in the future, things would get better. Later, after eating breakfast, the OG trio of Naruto, Percy, and Grover sat by the meadows watching the satyrs chase with nymphs through the snow. Percy still couldn't believe that these trees were faster than the satyrs. But alas, they were faster. The nymphs spotted Naruto and giggled. They flexed their fingers in a come-here motion, daring the blonde to come to catch them. Naruto just waved at them. In that meadow, as the boys watched the satyrs fail to catch up with the nymphs, Naruto narrated the weird dream he had about Annabeth the night before. She was forced to carry something? Grover asked. Yep, Naruto nodded. And Luke tricked her to do that? Percy asked, gritting his teeth at the mention of the son of Hermes. Pretty much. Naruto nodded. I don't know what the dream means, Percy said. Can all half-blood dreams be any vaguer? Grover and Naruto shrugged. I don't know, Grover began. But after Zoe's dream, wait, hold up. Naruto waved his arms around to stop the satyr's statement. And you know about this because? I sorta happened to be accidentally camped outside cabin 8, Grover meekly said as he scratched his cheek in embarrassment. Dude, why? Naruto deadpanned. Just to be near them, you know. The satyr explained. Dude, not cool, Percy said. Yeah, dude, Naruto added. That's entering into stalker territory. I am not a stalker, Grover defended himself. We can call it anything we want, G-Man, but I think we can all agree this is creepy, Percy countered. Alright, I get it, Grover snapped, desperate to change the subject. Anyway, I followed her to the big house. Asterisk cough asterisk. Definitely a stalker. Cough, Naruto blurted out, getting a glare from the satyr and a chuckle from Percy. Right, sorry. Naruto apologized in between laughs. Please continue. Well, she was really upset when Argus didn't let her in. It was kind of a dangerous scene, Grover continued. What did she say? Percy asked. Grover grimaced. Well, she started talking in an old-fashioned way, so it was kind of hard to understand, but I picked up bits and pieces. There was something about Artemis being in trouble and needing the hunters. And then she called him a boil-brained lout. I think that's a bad thing. And then she called him a wait. Kazan is in trouble? Naruto blurted out. What did he call her? Percy immediately asked after Grover asked. Naruto frowned at Percy's question, causing Percy to rub the back of his head. Right, sorry. I was just curious. How could Artemis be in trouble? Percy asked. Well, Chiron finally came out in his pajamas and his horsetails and curlers and curlers? Percy asked. I think you weren't meant to see that. Dude, you were noticing the wrong things. Naruto scolded the satyr. What do you mean she's in trouble? Well, Zoe was asking for permission to leave camp immediately. Chiron refused. He reminded them that they were supposed to stay in camp until they received further orders. And she said? Grover gulped. She said, how are we supposed to get orders if Artemis is lost? What do you mean lost? Percy asked. Like she needs directions? No. Naruto grit his teeth. She means taken, kidnapped, kidnapped? Percy frowned. How are you supposed to kidnap an immortal? Is it even possible? Well, it has happened before. It happened to Persephone, Grover said. Isn't she like a minor goddess? The goddess of flowers, right? Grover looked offended. It's springtime, Percy. She's the goddess of springtime. Right, right. Percy waved him off. But Artemis is a lot more powerful. Who could possibly kidnap her? Grover shook his head. I don't know Kronos. Can he be that powerful already? Percy asked. Remember Percy. Naruto tightened his fists. He's not the only one stirring. Kronos still has brothers, right? Yes, but I don't know. Grover shrugged. But it is weird that Zoe and Naruto would have a nightmare at the same time. Maybe they're connected. Percy guessed. Their conversation was interrupted as a loud thump was heard from the meadow where the satyrs were chasing the nymphs. A satyr's hooves skidded on his hooves as he chased after a red-headed nymph. She giggled as the goat man ran towards her, and then, poof, she turned into a Scotch pine and he kissed the trunk at top speed. Ah, love! Grover swooned. I've got to do something, Naruto said. We've got to look for her. Grover shook his head. Think about it, Naruto. Chiron didn't approve of Zoe leaving camp to look for her. He most certainly wouldn't let you. Who cares if he lets me go or not? Naruto argued. Percy left camp to go look for you last summer. Not exactly the role model you want, Grover answered. Hey! Percy protested. The quest was going to fail without our help. He's got a point, Grover. Naruto defended the boy. Tantalus wanted the quest to fail, so he sent me and Clarice alone. But this time it's different. She didn't allow any of the hunters or you follow her for a reason. I am sure Chiron would say the same thing, Grover countered. Besides, I have something that you too should see. Chapter 8 Wind Streak? Previously on The Child of the Moon, the Titan's Curse. Dining pavilion, a glowing symbol of an owl appeared over Kakashi's head, causing the campers to look at him in awe. The Jonin was definitely stunned at this. It is determined! Chiron's voice boomed. Kakashi tried to protest, but the centaur continued. Athena! He began. Goddess of wisdom, strategy, warfare, and the arts. Hail, Kakashi, son of the wisdom goddess! Now the next order of business. Chiron continued. Naruto needs to be relocated to a cabin while we have the hunters as guests in camp. A bunch of the campers stood to voice their requests. Pretty soon, the campers were hurling insults at each other. The boy in question just sighed in the corner as he listened to the arguments happening around him. Somewhere in the west coast. I knew I could count on you, Luke said darkly, leaving Annabeth to struggle against some unknown force. I knew you would take the bait. Where are you going? Annabeth pleaded. Help me. Oh, don't worry, Luke said, letting out an evil laugh. Your help is on the way. It's all part of the plan. In the meantime, try not to die. Luke's cackling echoed through the walls as the ceiling crumbled again, pushing Annabeth to the ground. Cabin EIGHT. Naruto walked past the beds of the hunters as the older campers looked at him in disdain, and the younger ones looking at him curiously. He stopped at the doorway and said, Zoe, we can settle this tonight at the battlefield. He left after that without waiting for the hunters to respond. Camp Half-Blood Meadows. We've got to do something, Naruto declared. We have to go look for her. Think about it, Naruto. Grover reasoned. Chiron didn't approve of Zoe to leave camp. He most certainly wouldn't allow you to, not exactly the role model you want. Grover answered. Hey! Percy protested. The quest was going to fail without our help. He's got a point, Grover. Naruto defended the boy. Tantalus wanted the quest to fail, so he sent me and Clarice alone. But this time it's different. She didn't allow any of the hunters or you follow her for a reason. I am sure Chiron would say the same thing, Grover countered. Besides, I have something that you too should see. And now a word from our sponsors. Do you have problems finding the right wine for your tastes? Ganymede appeared and enthusiastically said, Do you? Viewer, OH, for the love of, skips at *, and now to our regularly scheduled program. Grover brought something out of his pocket. He was ready to show the two what he had in hand, but, bark *. Hey, wait a minute, Naruto said, recognizing the bark. That bark. Percy and Grover looked at each other nervously. The barks got louder. The blonde stood up to investigate where it was coming from. And then, seemingly from out of nowhere, a great dire wolf rammed itself into Naruto, knocking him to the ground. The wolf yapped happily as he moved to attack Naruto's face with slobber. I miss you. Naruto's mind translated the barks. Where did you go? Why didn't you take me with you? I thought you left me like they did. But you're back. Oh yes, I am, he answered in between chuckles as the wolf continued his assault. I was wondering where you were, Naruto said as he kept the puppy at bay. He felt weird calling the puppy a puppy, because she wasn't exactly a puppy anymore. She was close to becoming a normal adult dog. Gee, you're so big now, he said. Then he turned to Percy and Grover, who were whistling and feigning ignorance. I thought I told you to look after. I did, Percy defended himself. But she disappeared without a trace one morning. Annabeth and I tried looking everywhere for her, but she was just gone. Is that true? Naruto asked the puppy. I went to look for you, was the puppy's simple response, care of Naruto's universal animal translator. Naruto sighed. At least you're back now. I don't think now is the right time to tell the two of them about this, Grover thought to himself as he absent-mindedly shoved a piece of paper to his back pocket. What he didn't realize was the paper fell off his pocket and drifted off in the wind and flew into the woods. Later that evening, Naruto spent the entire day helping Kakashi train the campers and devising plans to keep. They were lucky that they got one more day of training before the big Goodwill capture the flag game. Chiron explained that the hunters were on a winning streak. They had won the past 55 times in a row. But Naruto had a good feeling about this game. He had spent his whole life being underestimated. What was one more game where the hunters expected they would win again? Percy disappeared at some point in the day, but Naruto had sensed where he had gone. It looks like he wanted to take things into his own hands as well. They really were brothers. Alas though, he came back empty-handed. Naruto understood where he was coming from. He wanted so much to leave the camp and look for Annabeth and his mother, but he was needed here in camp. He had to assist the campers in the capture the flag game, maybe as a way to prove himself to the hunters. And so here they were after eating dinner. The campers now looked hopeful, ready to test what they have learned from the newest son of Athena. Though at the Artemis table, the hunters didn't look as happy as they were the night before. Perhaps Zoe had finally revealed to them her nightmare. Naturally, they would be worried about their mistress. As the time drew near, the campers had huddled together to think about their game plan. There were at least 3 or 4 from the Hermes, Ares, Aphrodite, and Athena cabins, the son and daughter of Poseidon and Zeus respectively, and then the son of Artemis. I think we all know who should be our captain, Malcolm said, looking at Naruto. I agree, Talia nodded. Percy somehow didn't look happy at the suggestion, but he nodded in the end. Oh, he'll make a great captain, Silena said. He'll help us pulverize them. That'll show them that love isn't worthless. This is awesome. Nico cheered from underneath the helmet that was covering his eyes. Right now, he was wearing a breastplate that was several sizes too big for him. Naruto briefly considered letting him let loose the armor altogether, but he pushed that idea aside. After all, not everyone was a shinobi trained to fight even without armor. So, what's the game plan, Captain? Talia asked with a teasing tone. You didn't have to say it like that, Naruto said as he gave Talia a mock glare. Whatever. Talia chuckled. The next moments, though, he was surrounded by an air of seriousness. Okay. Everybody listen up, Naruto said. I want you to remember your training despite how short it was. And more importantly, I want you to forget whatever beef you have with the other cabins, even just for tonight. The campers looked at each other, unsure of their fellow demigods. Look, I know we all did something to each other. Naruto sighed. But do you want the hunters to continue to look down on us? Like hell, they will. Sherman, one of the Ares siblings, said. That's the spirit, Naruto said. Now for the plan. First order of business, offense. For sure they'll send Zoe to retrieve the flag. Sherman, Silena, and Malcolm, I want your cabins to be the attackers. Hit 'em with everything you've got. Naruto ordered. Your 2 cabins have the biggest beef against the hunters. Use this as an opportunity to get back at them. Plus, you know the woods better than them. Use the home field advantage. Leave it to us. The 2 heads of the cabins answered in unison. Connor, Travis, and Beckendorf, your cabins are on defense duty. Use the environment and your crafty tactics to your advantage. Naruto continued. Nice. Travis and Connor high-fived. We get to prank them. Guys, remember, work fast, but make your traps aren't obvious or half-assed. Naruto reiterated. Charles, the head counselor of the Hephaestus cabin, chuckled. I got him, Talia and Percy, you're with me. We'll pick them off using hit-and-run tactics and search for the flag, Naruto said. I have a question, Malcolm spoke up. Won't the defense team be overwhelmed if Charles and the others don't get to set up the traps fast enough? Excellent question, Malcolm, Naruto praised. I trust them to get it done on time. On the off chance they don't, we and the attackers have to buy them time. Malcolm still didn't look convinced. Man, Athena's children are really hard to impress. We'll play on their mindset of thinking of us as pushovers, Naruto explained. I have been underestimated by a lot of people. You should see the look on their faces when I one-up them. Are you questioning our abilities? Charles challenged. Maybe I am. Malcolm didn't back down. You can't blame me for overthinking this. They did always beat us. Then how about let's see which of us take out more of the hunters? Charles offered. You're on, Malcolm answered. Perfect, Naruto said. Let's use that too. What do you mean? Bianca asked. A little friendly competition between friends can light a fire in their bellies, you know? Naruto answered. How about this? He raised his voice to get the attention of the others. Since you all want me to sleep over, how about this? The cabin with the most takedowns gets to take me in their cabin, deal? The Aphrodite campers squealed. We'll do our best. The only rule I require is, no underhanded tactics against your comrades. Work together, Naruto said, remembering Kakashi's words when he was a genin. If you don't go against them with the intent to kill, cool. We get to kill the other team? Nico burst out with misplaced excitement. Naruto gave him a stern look. No, Nico. There will be no killing. This is just a game that people take way too seriously. Like you? Bianca asked. Hey, I resent that. A lot more people take it more seriously than me, Naruto said, giving a look to the Ares campers. What? Sherman protested. It's not like I'm the only one who did the stabbing. I didn't say anything. Naruto deadpanned. Gee, good then. Sherman sputtered at Naruto's statement. Guilty much? Connor muttered under his breath. Shut up. Sherman scolded. But how will they die if they're basically immortal? Percy asked, breaking the argument. Well, they are immortal, but not if they fall in battle, Naruto explained. Was that how it always worked? Percy asked, earning a nod from Naruto. The blonde then turned to Nico. I appreciate the enthusiasm, Nico, but you shouldn't get excited about taking a life. Bianca came over with a concerned look on her face. Why? Did you ever try killing before? Naruto nodded with a grave look on his face. It comes with the job. I am a shinobi after all. You're a ninja? Nico's enthusiasm returned. I thought you were just like the others, Bianca said. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. I never did get the time to tell you, did I? Tell you what, I promise I'll tell you everything later. Is that okay? Bianca nodded. I suppose. With one last smile directed at the new demigod, Naruto stood up and looked at his team. As I was saying, if you don't go against them with the intent to kill, you won't win against them. Also, if you don't work together, you won't win. So, basically, we don't hold back and work together, right? Talia asked. Basically. Naruto nodded. So, who's with me? Hold up. Sherman stopped. We don't want you in our cabin. What do we get if we win? Naruto briefly considered this, and a familiar gleam glinted on Naruto's eye. Oh, here we go. Percy muttered, causing Talia to give him an odd look. Well, if you win, I can let you in on a little secret that Grover might have let slip earlier. What's it about? Mark, one of the Ares campers, asked. Naruto didn't answer, but his gaze wandered over to the head table where a certain centaur was ready to speak to them. Everyone turned to look at who he was looking at. They gained a curious expression. Their curiosity turned into determined expressions. Although the rookies looked nervous, their curiosity was nonetheless piqued. But Naruto couldn't blame them for feeling that way. It was their first game after all. In the end, cheers escaped the mouths of the campers. They looked like they were ready for anything. Over at the head table, Kakashi looked at the source of the cheering with interest. To be able to rally the others like that, he's grown, for the most part, Grover said as he took a sip from his goblet. Chiron's hoof thundered on the pavilion floor, silencing the chatters. Heroes! He called out. You know the rules! The creek is the boundary line. Blue team, Camp Half-Blood, shall take the West Woods. Hunters of Artemis, Red team, shall take the East Woods. I will serve as referee and battlefield medic. No intentional maiming, please! All magic items are allowed. To your positions! Intentional maiming? Kakashi asked. Oh, don't get me started on that one, Grover answered. After the centaur's announcement, the teams separated and took their positions. Blue team! Follow me, Naruto said. As the players walked, Nico seemed excited. Magic items? Do I get one? He asked. Hate to break it to you, but you won't get one till you're good enough, Percy explained. These swords seriously hurt. I should know, did you get stabbed? Nico asked rather enthusiastically. Oh, this I gotta hear, Talia said, walking next to the duo. This kid is way too enthusiastic, Naruto thought. Yes, he did. Can we talk about me getting stabbed later? Percy pleaded. Thankfully for him, Naruto dropped the story. Although Talia had a vague idea of someone getting stabbed, she felt it from within the trees. She still wanted to know what events led to the stabbing, but she reluctantly dropped it as well since it wasn't time for that. At Talia's suggestion, the blue team's flag was set at the top of Zeus' fist. It was a cluster of boulders in the middle of the West Woods that looked like a fist that punched its way out of the ground if you looked at it the right way. But if you looked at it any other way, it looked like a giant deer relieved itself on the area and the dropping solidified. Naruto joked about it changing the name to Poop Pile, but Chiron disagreed with the idea, especially since it was initially named after the king of the gods. He really doesn't have a good sense of humor. Remember the time Naruto sent him a toy lightning bolt when he lost the original? Yet another joke just like that might risk him getting struck down by his master bolt even if he did have a demon fox sealed in his gut. Anyway, I've rambled off again. Geez. It was a good place to place the flag since it was high enough that it was clearly visible like the rules said it had to be, and it didn't matter if you weren't allowed to stay within 10 yards of it. Alright, just a heads up to everyone, Naruto said. They'll probably fight using mid to long-ranged attack. Do not engage immediately. Wait till they're within close range distance. Also, do not underestimate their close-range combat. They are trained for that as well. The horn blared through night, signaling the start of the game. Everyone gain faces on, Naruto announced, then raised his hands in a familiar hand sign. Tajikage Bunshin no Jutsu. Clones dispersed around the area in groups of 2 to 3. The two siblings who didn't know about Naruto's abilities widened their eyes. The captain decided to send out his clones to scout the area and find out their opponent's game plans. Naruto stood in silence as he waited for news from his scouting party. Come on, Ellis, one of the Ares campers, said impatiently, tapping his feet on the ground. Just give me a sec, Naruto said in sympathy. All these other demigods had ADHD just like he and Percy did. They didn't play the waiting game all too well. What's he doing? Bianca asked. He's waiting for word from his clones, Percy answered. Whatever they see gets sent to the original once they disperse. Cool, Nico praised. Just as Percy said that, Naruto opened his eyes as the memories from the clones flooded his mind. Bingo, Naruto muttered. Like that? Bianca asked, earning a nod from Percy. Okay. Defenders, get started, Naruto began. Got it, the said team answered, and they went on to do their jobs. Attackers, the hunters' main force is advancing towards us in the middle. It seems they're hitting us with their full force. They're thinking we won't even get to their flag. Intercept them and remember what I said, he continued. Talia and Percy, before we go to their flag, let's help the attackers, Naruto said, and his friends nodded. And so, the blue team went on to work. The Shermans and Silena's cabins hid behind the trees, lying in wait. Naruto and his team snuck to the sides of the path the clones had seen to catch the hunters off guard. They were by the creek. Man, this place gave Percy some horrid memories. He could still feel Clarice's electric spear. Anyway, the hunters crept through the creek, sneaking into enemy territory. Unknown to them, 3 pairs of eyes watched them as they crossed to the other side. Perce, send them a wave, Naruto whispered. Then Talia, give them the shock of their lives. Just a little though, with pleasure, leave it to me, the 2 children of the big 3 answered. They closed their eyes, concentrating hard enough to control their various elements. The creek's water stirred. The hunters didn't even notice. Then, the water rose to above their height, getting their attention. It's Poseidon's brat, Phoebe warned as she rolled out of the way along with most of their team. Not all of them were lucky though. Around 5 or 6 of them were doused in water. But that was the least of their worries as the familiar crackle of lightning pierced through the night. The lightning hit the moist part of the ground, and a small jolt of electricity traveled following the trail to the dampened hunters. No! Phoebe yelled as she watched her sisters drop down unconscious on the ground. She rushed immediately to their sides, checking their pulse for a beat. She breathed a sigh of relief once she felt the familiar beats of her carotid pulse. The leaves rustled around them, and they saw the familiar blonde hair of their mistress Sun running towards the direction of their flag. A growl escaped her lips, angry at the fact that they were caught off guard. How? Every time we play, it's supposed to be easy, she sent a fierce look towards the blonde's retreating form along with his 2 companions. Get them! Naruto turned and sent him a goofy grin and gave an order. Silena, Sherman! You're up! A fierce battle cry echoed through the woods as various campers who they recognized as the love goddess children and the demigods who they had a spat with the day before. They definitely felt different, especially the Aphrodite kids. Was the training they saw the other day not just for show? Payback time! Mark yelled as he moved in for an attack. With Naruto, Percy, and Thala they tried to stifle their laughter as much as possible as they snuck around the area. Did you see the look on her face when we fried the others? Talia said, keeping her voice as low as much as possible. Yeah! It was priceless! Percy echoed her glee. That will teach those stuck-up hunters, Talia huffed. Naruto looked at them and smiled briefly. That was some nice work, you guys, he praised, then his expression turned serious. But we're not done yet. We still have to find the flag. But how do we find it? Percy asked. We could take all night. Easy, Naruto said matter-of-factly. Give me a sec. Naruto sat down into a meditative position and stayed still for a moment. What's he doing? Percy asked. Can't you feel it, seaweed brain? Talia gave him a stern look. What am I supposed to feel? He looked at Naruto, and he still couldn't see anything different. He studied Naruto for a couple of seconds, until an orange pigmentation appeared around Naruto's eyes. I'm surprised you were able to feel it, Naruto told the daughter of Zeus. Well, I was once one with the valley. I can sense the energy around us. Talia explained. I guess that makes sense. Naruto answered. Wait a second. Percy finally realized. It feels just like that time, but you look different from that time. He said, remembering the thin slits that replaced his pupils that time in Polyphemus's island. Yep, Naruto said. He revealed his eyes to now have yellow irises with a thick horizontal slit in the middle. This is what it looks like when it is complete and perfect. Senin Ajakan called it Senin Modo or Sage Mode in our language. How does this work? Percy asked. Apparently, this mode doesn't only make me super strong and super durable, it also expands the range of my senses, Naruto explained. Whoa! Percy was amazed by what his best friend had attained. So, where are they? Naruto pointed straight ahead. There. And so, they crept towards the direction that the blonde pointed to a while back. Percy found it weird that there wasn't any resistance anywhere. He counted earlier in the bus that there was roughly the same number of hunters as they did with the campers. Phoebe wasn't leading a lot of hunters from what they could tell. So why was it that no one was popping up to stop them? Their questions were answered when they popped up in a clearing where a silver flag was raised above the ground. There was no one there, but a lone camper lazily waiting for the game to end. What the? She said, standing upon hearing the leaves rustle. It seemed she wasn't expecting anyone to reach their flag. Naruto was right. They were underestimating them so much that they didn't leave anyone there to defend their flag. Hey, it's you! The girl said upon recognizing the blonde. Don't you recognize me? It's me, Kate! She rushed over and gave Naruto a friendly hug. Naruto wasn't sure what to do, so he just patted her on the back and broke the hug. She then turned to Percy and narrowed her eyes at him. Oh, and you too! She eyed Percy with anger in her eyes. I feel like I know you from somewhere, Percy said, trying to pry his mind open for the information. Don't tell me you forgot about what you did to my home? She spoke. Hey, you turned me into a guinea pig! And in the middle of my quest even! Percy protested. You didn't have to free Blackbeard too! The hunter countered. That was Annabeth, not me! Percy corrected. Still, you two were responsible for it, she reiterated with bitterness in her voice. Anyway, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have gotten out alive. It's great that you're here well and good, Naruto said. So, does that mean you'll hand over your flag? She gained a determined look. That doesn't mean I'll go easy on you. Besides, you wouldn't hit a girl, would you? Oh, shut it, Talia said, and chopped the back of her neck and sent a small jolt of electricity to knock her out. He turned and gave the boys a stern look. You're wasting time. Don't you want to win? All right, hi, Percy and Naruto said as they rubbed the back of their heads at the same time. Then, they both gained a serious expression. Let's do this, Naruto said. Get her! Don't let her get away! A voice caught their attention, and they looked at each other with a wary look. They wasted no time after that. A lone hunter carrying the flag bearing the camp's insignia was rushing towards the creek. This was what the scouting party saw as they were rushing towards the goal line. After plucking the silver flag from the hunter's hiding spot, they heard a series of clashes from their teammates. Despite their training, the campers weren't able to subdue the more experienced right-hand woman of Moon Goddess. Oh no! We're not going to make it, Talia said as they dashed as fast as they could towards their goal. Like hell, they're winning, Naruto growled. Percy, hand me the flag. But, Percy tried to reason. There's no time, Naruto snapped. Percy stopped. This was the hardest thing he had to do in his life, trust someone to do things. But if there's one person he would trust to do this, it would be Naruto. So he threw it. I guess it can't be helped, Naruto muttered to himself. It was loud enough for his friends to hear, but they didn't question him. I'll have to whip it out. Naruto stood there with his eyes closed, deep in concentration. The two were staring at him for maybe about 2 seconds, but he suddenly disappeared. With Zoe. You're not getting ACK! A camper yelled as he was knocked to the side by this particular hunter. They were definitely caught off guard by the multitude of traps that these wretched campers had set up. First, Elizabeth and a few others were hanging by their waist a few feet off the ground, while the others were buried neck-deep underground. Secondly, Phoebe and her team were sprawled down on the ground. She never expected the campers to get the upper hand like this. She was rushing towards the boundary line to get the flag to the other side. At the same time, she spotted her mistress' son doing the same with his two companions, except they were unopposed. Zoe grit her teeth as she ducked under an Aphrodite camper's swing and sent a punch to her midsection. She never expected for her to avoid her attack though. Since when did the love goddess children fight so well? She shook that thought off her head as she rolled past another swing and swipe at her feet slam onto her chest. The blonde kid is now almost to the creek. She growled as she desperately tried to increase her speed. As she zipped past one tree, in particular, she did not notice some strange writings glow. She just ran past it with her sights fixated on the goal line. And then, she finally made it. She leaped across the creek and landed on moist soil. She planted the orange flag on their side of the creek. She waited for Chiron to announce the winner, but 4 words were spoken that made her freeze for the first time in her immortal life. "Hey, how's it going?" Chapter 9, Percy and Naruto's The Walking Dead. A hunter stood at the other side of the creek planting a large orange flag on the ground. She kept a blank expression on her face like she had expected this to happen. Well, she has almost right. She looked over to the activities director who stood at full height. The usual frown on his face was gone when he announced the winner, making which was weird for her, but she pushed that thought aside. But then, a look of shock was slowly made its way to her face as the victor was announced. For the first time in 56 games! Chiron couldn't help but grin and beam proudly at the campers. "Camp Half-Blood wins!" "What?" Zoe protested, losing her composure. "I clearly crossed the boundary first." A chill ran up her spine as she heard the voice that infuriated her. "Yeah, you keep telling yourself that." He spoke from a tree on the other side of the creek. Zoe turned to see Naruto leaning on the tree's trunk like he was there ages ago. There was the silver flag right beside him planted on the ground the way she did. At the centaur's declaration, the silver flag shimmered and turned into an orange flag. She turned to where she last saw him and confirmed that he was no longer there. What she saw was 2 demigods jogging to catch up. "How did you?" She couldn't form the words. "But you were, don't worry." Naruto offered his hand for a handshake. "I'm sure you did your best. I must say, to think you would get past our traps." Zoe gave him a look of irritation, but in the spirit of sportsmanship, she begrudgingly accepted his hand and begrudgingly shook it. "Even I have to admit your team was more or less more organized this time," Zoe grumbled out. "But mark my words, this changes nothing." A small smile graced Naruto's lip. I know, I still have a lot to prove and all that, story of my life." The last part definitely piqued the lieutenant's interest. She was curious as to what he was talking about, but before she could ask, the rest of the campers converged upon their location and as a group, raised Naruto up in the air. Even Chiron and Kakashi came to join in the celebration. "That was awesome!" Connor praised. "Yeah! He was like whoosh and then he was whoosh!" Nico gestured, earning chuckles from the other campers. Well, Kakashi spoke up. "I never thought I would see that jutsu again." "What do you mean?" A Naruto clone walked up to Kakashi as they watched the original get tossed into the air. "The Hiraishin no Jutsu was my sensei's signature jutsu," Kakashi explained. "It gave him the moniker, the Yellow Flash." "Otosan really was awesome, wasn't he?" the clone said. Kakashi's eyes widened. "You know?" The blonde nodded. "My adoptive mother told me, the goddess?" Kakashi asked, earning another nod from the blonde. "I suppose there was nothing wrong with her telling you. You had the right to know anyway." Over at the hunter's side, Phoebe walked over to the lieutenant and asked, "Is something the matter, Zoe?" Zoe shook her head. She was almost starting to think that they shouldn't hate their mistress's son just for being a boy, but she caught herself. That kind of thinking was absurd. All boys were the same, right? Naruto Uzumaki, huh? She mused to herself. Did you say something, Zoe? Phoebe asked. She just shook her head. She watched the campers lower the blonde so that the puppy the hunters saw earlier rushed to attack Naruto with a face full of slobber. Speaking of that little dog, they never got to ask the blonde where he got the puppy. The little scamp really reminded them of their own dire wolves that they trained. It was then that the cheering was replaced by the puppy's growling as the sound of eerie footsteps echoed through the woods. At first, everyone thought it was an intruder, and I know everyone will say that they wouldn't be able to get past the camp's magical barriers, but ever since that last incident, they couldn't be more cautious. I'm thinking this kind of thing hasn't happened before? Kakashi asked as he brought out a kunai ready to fight when they saw the silhouette of the supposed intruder. No, she has never left the attic before. Chiron shook his head. No one in camp has ever heard him sound this nervous before. This is impossible! The campers dispersed to give Naruto some room to draw his own weapons. That was when the origin of the footsteps came into view. It was the withered mummy that held the Oracle of Delphi surrounded in the green mist that anyone who had gone on a quest is all too familiar with. She shuffled forward until she stood in the center of the group. I am the spirit of Delphi, a voice said. It was unmistakable that the spirit's host was staring straight at Zoe. Approach, seeker, and ask. Artemis' lieutenant stepped forward and swallowed a lump that had formed in her throat. What must I do to help my goddess? Vague images of a barren peak flickered to life in the mummy's background. Naruto's mouth hung open. The landscaping looked all too familiar. He saw his mother in the same place where Luke had left Annabeth. This time she was wrapped in golden chains fettered to rocks. She was on a knee, her hands raised up supporting a weight that none of the viewers could see. 6 shall go west to the goddess in chains, 1 shall be lost in the land without rain, the bane of Olympus shall show the trail, campers and hunters combined prevail, the titan's curse must 1 withstand and 1 shall perish by a parent's hand, the whirlpools would break the chain to save them from their terrible fates. As she said the final words of her prophecy, the serpentine mist retracted into the mummy's mouth. The mummy's feet gave way like it never had the strength to carry the body in the first place. It plopped itself down on a rock and turned as stiff as anyone would find her in the attic. The big house's attic ****. Geez, Percy! Be careful! Grover scolded. Be careful or we won't be getting prophecies anymore, Naruto added. Sorry, Percy said as the boys set her down to inspect for damages. Did I break anything? Nothing looks broken, Grover answered. Phew! Percy sighed in relief at the satyr's answer. And so, the boys lifted the body once more and hauled the mummy, setting her down on her tripod stool. Who knew a dead body could be so heavy? Grover said as soon as the mummy left their hands. Maybe the green snake thingy added to the weight, Naruto offered. Grover chuckled at Naruto's statement. They looked over to Percy, who was staring at the mummy like he was expecting something to come out of it. You okay? The satyr asked. Percy tried for a smile. Yeah, I was just wondering why we got stuck carrying the mummy. Well, for starters, the others were too shaken to do anything, Naruto said. Yeah, but still. Percy struggled to form the words. You were expecting the quest to go to you, aren't you? The blonde asked. How did you? The son of Poseidon began, but the answer came to him. I suppose after everything we've been through together, being able to read me would be easy. Oh, you know it, Grover said with a thumbs up. So, what are you thinking about? You know, I messed up our retrieval quest going on my own like that. It's kinda my fault Annabeth got taken, so I was hoping to get the quest to set things right, Percy explained. We've all been there, Perce. Naruto placed a hand on his shoulder. Look at me, I got super special training and I still couldn't get to her in time. Before Percy could say anything, they heard Talia's voice call out to them. Guys, she said, Dionysus is calling everyone for a council to discuss the prophecy. See, there's our chance, Grover said. Percy nodded, gaining renewed confidence. Let's go! Recaro and Talia led the boys to the room where the council was going to be held. The ping-pong table in the room was used as a table for the counselors. Mr. D supplied the snacks and refreshments. There were crackers, cheese whiz, and several bottles of wine. Just like the other times, Chiron had to remind him of his restrictions and that almost everyone was underaged. Mr. D sighed, but in the end, he relented and turned the wine into Diet Coke, his go-to drink while he was in exile. He and Chiron sat on one side of the table. Zoe and the hunter from the game, Kate, took the other end. Naruto's group, Percy, Talia, Grover and himself, took one side of the table, while the other head counselors, Charles Beckendorf of the Hephaestus cabin, Silena Beauregard of the Aphrodite cabin, the Stoll brothers from Hermes, Sherman Young of Ares, and Malcolm Pace of Athena, took the other side. Cheese whiz! Grover cheered as he saw the snacks on the table. He took crackers and ping-pong balls, sprayed them with toppings and threw a bunch of them in his mouth. This is pointless! Zoe began the council on a happy note. We cannot waste time here talking. Artemis is in trouble. We must leave at once. And where do you propose we go and save her? Chiron asked. West, of course. It was Kate who answered the question. You heard the prophecy. 6 shall go west to the goddess in chains. We'll take 5 hunters and go. That's barely a location, Malcolm countered. The west is huge. Do you know where in the west to look? Kate couldn't find the words to answer. You forget that we have the best trackers there is. Zoe defended her sister. We will find her. Even so, you're missing another crucial detail, Talia said. Campers and hunters combined prevail. We're supposed to do this together. No, Zoe shot Talia down. The hunters do not need thy help. Fine, she snapped. You want to go against the prophecy, then be my guest. Naruto placed a hand on Talia's shoulder to calm her down. I hate prophecies as much as the next guy, but I was told that going against prophecies tend to cause bad things to happen, Naruto said. Or do they? Maybe prophecies go wrong because you follow them to the T, Mr. D offered. Take this one for example, what if you failed because you tried to cooperate? Mr. D. Chiron sighed. With all due respect, whose side are you on? The said god raised his eyebrows. Sorry, my dear centaur. Just trying to be helpful. Look, Zoe. I'm afraid we have to work together. We can't afford to go against the prophecy. This is my mother we're talking about, Naruto said. She grimaced, but she decided not to argue. She knew they were right. In any case, we must not delay this quest, Chiron said. Today is Sunday. This very Friday, December 21st, is the winter solstice. Oh joy! Dionysus muttered. Another dull meeting. Artemis must be present at the solstice meeting, Zoe said. She has been the most vocal on the council arguing for action against the Time Lord's minions. If she is absent, the gods will decide nothing, and we lose another year for war preparations. Are you suggesting that the gods have trouble acting together, young lady? Mr. D asked. The council watched the exchange with bated breath. They were honestly scared for the lieutenant, not that they care what happened to her. They knew gods are very temperamental beings. They may or may not take the words you say too happily. Although, at this particular instance, Dionysus wouldn't do anything, lest he risks the wrath of Artemis. Mr. D just nodded and everyone released their breath. Just checking. You are right, of course. I must agree with Zoe, Chiron said. Her presence in the council is very critical, but we only have a week to find her, and possibly more important than this quest itself, we must find the monster. Now we must decide who must go on the quest. 3-3, Percy said. An even split. 3 campers and 3 hunters, that's fair enough, Naruto added. Zoe grunted. I would prefer to take all the hunters. Here we go again, Naruto muttered under his breath. Chiron gave Naruto a look and began speaking. Now Zoe, remember what your mistress would say, something along the lines of, too many hunters spoiled the trail. You will have to move quickly tracking this bane of Olympus. A small group would be best. I suppose you are correct. Zoe studied a ping-pong paddle laying in front of her. This monster, I have hunted at Artemis' side for millennia, and yet I have no idea what this beast might be. You don't think the monster might not be from this dimension, do you? Malcolm offered. What do you mean? Zoe asked. I mean, Naruto is part of the quest if the spiral thingy on the back of his shirt is any indication, and he is a, what did he call it? A Jinchuriki? He spoke. Naruto nodded and all eyes fell on him. What are they talking about? Kate asked. Well, Dr. Consider me a jailer for the beast as massive as a New York skyscraper, maybe even taller, and so powerful that it can cause disasters with every swing of its tail. Naruto explained. You have a monster inside you? Kate frowned. Why didn't you tell us? For starters, he wasn't exactly popular when he was a kid. Percy explained. Stupid villagers confuse him for the demons sealed inside him. A smile graced Naruto's lips unnoticed to the others in the council meeting. But as you can see, I am still alive and kicking. Believe me, you would know if the Kyuubi was unleashed. There must be others like you, am I right? Zoe asked. Yes, but they are all in the other dimension. Naruto answered. We would know if a monster of that size would be unleashed. That would remove my same ideas out of the possibilities. Typhon, for instance, was truly a bane to Olympus, but his emergence would entail disaster. Keto might be a possibility, but she was the same as Naruto's prisoner. Poseidon would have sounded the alarm if they were to be unleashed. This monster we are dealing with is more elusive, perhaps even more powerful. Gee, that's some danger you're facing, Connor said, then turned to the blonde. Nice knowing you, Naruto. The said blonde gave him a mock glare. You won't get rid of me that easily, Connor. The others were too nervous about the quest to join in the joking. Instead, Charles Beckendorf offered his own thoughts. One will be lost in the land without rain. You should avoid the desert. There was a muttering of agreement around the table. And the Titan's curse must one withstand. Silena added. What could that mean? Zoe and Chiron shared a look, but they didn't feel like sharing it with the rest of the group. Not to mention one shall perish by a parent's hand. Grover said in between bites of cheese was dipped ping-pong balls. How is that possible? What kind of parent would kill them? A heavy silence descended upon the room. They didn't know what to say. But the quest will succeed, right? Travis tried to sound upbeat. The whirlpools would break the chains. That means Naruto will free his mom, right? Not without deaths. Chiron immediately brought the mood down again. The prophecy was clear about that. Oh goody, Dionysus said. Bad timing, Mr. D. Naruto muttered. Everyone turned to him. He glanced up innocently from his wine connoisseur magazine. Ah, Pinot Noir is making a comeback. Don't mind me. So, who wants to go on this quest? Chiron asked. Obviously, I'm one of them, Naruto stated. None of the other counselors answered. Why don't the hunters start off? I will go, of course, and I will take Phoebe. She is our best tracker, Zoe said. The one who hit me in the head? Connor asked. She nodded. Yes, why? Oh, nothing, Travis said. We just want to give a peace offering. He held up a big silver t-shirt that said Artemis the Moon Goddess, Fall Hunting Tour 2002. It had a long list of national parks and other stuff underneath. It's a collector's item. She was admiring it. You want to give it to her? Naruto narrowed his eyes at the two brothers. He wasn't sure if the brothers were planning something or not, but something was telling him that something will go wrong. He decided to trust the brothers for now. This was no time to be pulling pranks, so he figured the boys were sincere. And our last member, I wish Bianca to go, she finished. But she isn't even a hunter, Silena argued. No, but the offer is still up, Zoe said. Perhaps this quest will persuade her to join us. HMP, you can't accept the fact that she denied you the first time, Talia scoffed. This is my condition, Zoe said with finality. Either take it or forget about working together. Chiron sighed. All right. I guess we cannot argue about that. Naruto, will you look after her? I got it, Chiron, Naruto said. Right. The centaur nodded. What about the campers? Who will accompany Naruto? Me! 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 Grover stood up so fast he bumped the table, knocking over some cans of Diet Coke. He brushed the cracker crumbs and ping-pong ball scraps of his lap. Anything to help Artemis. I think not, Satyr. You are not even a half-blood. Zoe shot him down. But he is a camper, Zoe, Talia argued. He's got Satyr senses, and he can play the tracker's song. Right, Grover? Oh, absolutely. The Satyr nodded vigorously. Zoe didn't argue further. Apparently, she found the idea acceptable. She was willing to go that far to increase their chances of finding their mistress. And I will go too, Talia said. Whoa, wait a second, Percy said, realizing that they have reached their quota. I want to go too. Oh, I forgot, Grover said, finally getting light of the situation. Percy has to go. He should go in my place. Absolutely not, boy, Zoe countered. I will not have the hunters travel with a boy again. You traveled here with me, Percy countered. That was a short-term agreement, the huntress argued. It was a direct order from our goddess. In this instance, our goddess does not have such orders, thus I will not travel with the likes of you. Naruto and Grover are part of this quest, Percy argued back. It cannot be helped. Naruto is part of this quest. And the satyr is more goat than human, so I can allow him to stay. Percy grits his teeth. But I have to go. I need to be on this quest. Why? Because of thy friend Annabeth? Zoe asked. Everyone was looking at Percy now. He hated this feeling. No, I mean I owe it to Annabeth to be on this quest. No, I insist upon this along with my earlier demand. I will travel with the satyr, but not with another male hero, the lieutenant said with finality. Nobody rose to Percy's defense. Mr. D just giggled to himself as he read High Wine magazine, while the table seemed to be interesting to the other campers. Percy dropped to his chair defeated. Naruto gave him a look of pity. It is settled. Talia and Grover will accompany Naruto in the camper's side, and Bianca and Phoebe will accompany Zoe in the hunter's side, Chiron said. You shall leave at first light, and may the gods, he glanced at Mr. D, present company included, we hope, be with you. Cabin EIGHT. Zoe and Kate made their way to their mistress' cabin to relay what they have decided in the meeting to the other campers. The two opened the doors. They saw that the other hunters were grouped up in front of the door that led to Naruto's separate room. What are you girls doing? Zoe asked. We were just curious about what was in that blondie's room, Phoebe answered. We have been wondering what the mistress' son kept in his room to, find out more about him. Liz, another one of the hunters, added. Kate decided to join them. So, how is it going? We kinda just got started, Liz said. Are thee sure that this is a good idea? The reasonable part of Zoe said. What would our goddess say if she found out? Come on, Zoe, the younger hunters pleaded. Aren't you even just a little curious? Click. Got it. Phoebe yelled triumphantly as the lock clicked and they swung the door leading to Naruto's room open. Zoe peered into the room. Curiosity got the better of her, and she relented. I guess it wouldn't hurt if no one would know. That's the spirit, Phoebe yelled. All right, but don't move anything, okay? Zoe said. Yes, Zoe, the hunters said. And so, the girls entered the room to look around. A few of the hunters stayed behind for a while since they were scared of the consequences of breaking into their mistress' son's room. In the end, though, curiosity got the better of them. It looks so simple, Diana commented as she browsed the room. I know it's a fitting name for a hunter of Artemis. A couple of them sat down on the bed, and one of them, Rose, asked. I got to complain to Artemis about this. We should get a bed as soft as this even if it's just a mattress. Don't bother, Adrian, one of the older hunters said. We barely come here anyway. I guess you're right, Rose answered back. HMMP, I think the girl is too far gone. Adrian commented as she stared at the picture on Naruto's nightstand. The photo was of Naruto and Annabeth standing in front of the Lincoln Memorial. Naruto had an arm around Annabeth, while the latter had gingerly placed her arm on the boy's waist, but not without a blush on her face. The boy had gotten to her before we could. The hunters shook their head at that statement. They were really looking forward to the new additions. But alas, that wouldn't be the case. On a happier note, Karen, another hunter, said, holding out the blonde's signature jumpsuit. That earned a few snickers from the other girls. Hey, he would look stupid in this jumpsuit. What's this supposed to be? Lyra asked, pointing to a green vest propped up on a mannequin. I don't think I have ever seen clothing like that before, Phoebe said. It is probably from where he came from. Zoe answered the question on everyone's minds. From what country is he from? Kate asked. Zoe shook her head. By where he came from, I mean from the world he came from. He is from another world. The newer hunters gasped. But how did he? Our mistress brought him here to our world after one of her visits to that place, Zoe explained. She hasn't broken her oath, has she? Finally, one of them asked the question even the older hunters didn't dare to ask. The older hunters scolded them, but Zoe raised her hand. It is a fair question, but to answer it, no, she hasn't broken her oath. It is a long and complicated story, but now, that boy has our mistress' godly blood flowing through his veins. They didn't get a chance to comment on Zoe's story as one of the older campers, Sophia, called out from the display case she was browsing. Hey, check this out! This got the attention of everyone, and even the girls sitting on the bed came forward to check out what they were looking at. What are they? Kate asked. They're spoils of war, Zoe answered. They are drops from the monsters he had fought in the past. They were able to recognize most of the spoils they could see through the glass. They could name the Minotaur horn, Hellhound teeth, Gorgon tusks, Manticore claws, you know the works. But there were some that the girls didn't recognize. What are those pieces of metal doing in his trophy case? Diane asked. That is probably Lord Ares' sword, Phoebe answered. How did it get a hold of it? Kate asked. It was from the time they fought the god 2 summers ago, Phoebe answered. It was from that boy's first quest. How about this skull? Diana asked, pointing to a weirdly shaped skull. I don't think I have seen this monster before. It is the Kraken, Zoe answered. It is a massive monster that was slain by the hero, Perseus, with the use of the severed Gorgon's head. Oh, these words came from the mouths of the young hunters after Zoe explained. We have to give credit where credit is due, Zoe continued. It is an amazing feat to have done. She gritted her teeth after saying those words. Even she had to admit that this boy was a good strategist and warrior for a male, that is. They would have to give him even just an inkling of respect. Though, they still do not desire any form of relationship with their mistress child. Well, that will be enough for today, Zoe finally said. I do not believe we have found anything that indicates we should worry about from him. Nevertheless, we should keep an eye on him anyway. You heard her, girls, Phoebe said. Let's go. There were groans from the ranks of the hunters, but they followed the orders nonetheless. One by one, the girls shuffled out of the room. After Phoebe closed the room, she remembered the meeting Zoe and Kate had to attend to decide the quest. So, what did you decide at the meeting? Zoe and Kate explained to them what was decided. What? Most of the hunters argued. We would have been fine on our own, Phoebe said. I understand, but Chiron was clear about us following the prophecy, Zoe explained. Besides, this could be our chance to persuade the young demigod. I suppose you're right, Phoebe said. We will do as you say, right, girls? Grumbles and more groans came from the hunters, but they agreed nonetheless. Okay, girls. It's lights out now. Zoe and I must prepare for the quest tomorrow. Right. Chapter 10. Just before the quest. Knock, knock, knock. Who is it? Percy asked as he lay on his bed sulking about the night's events. Yo, Percy! It's us, Naruto called out to the boy, followed by a bark. We want to talk to you. A bray from Grover followed after Naruto's earlier greeting. Oh, hey guys! The son of Poseidon greeted his visitors. Come on in. The door swung open and the satyr came rushing in, apologizing profusely at Percy. Percy! I'm so sorry! I didn't know that you'd honest. He started sniffling and prostrating himself on the cabin floor. Naruto came in following after the satyr. We were worried about you, Percy, Chiron said, lowering himself so as not to hit his head on the doorway as he entered. Yeah, you just ran off like that after the council was done, Naruto added. Gee, thanks guys. Percy tried for a smile, but it was evident that he was still bummed out. And Grover, it's okay. I really am fine. The satyr's lower lip quivered, not convinced with what Percy was saying. Naruto placed a hand on his shoulder for reassurance. You don't have to worry, you know, Naruto said. With me, Talia and Grover looking, we're going to find Annabeth for sure. Percy just nodded, making Grover even more badly about his rash decision. Grover, Naruto, Chiron said. Perhaps you'd let me have a word with Percy for a while? Sure thing / sure, Naruto and Grover said at the same time. We'll come back later, Naruto said. Nobody needs a goat, Grover cried into his sleeve as the both of them. Oh, Grover, it's not that, Naruto said. Tell you what, why don't we go to the camp store and get something to munch on? Tin cans? Grover said hopefully. Sure, why not? Naruto answered cheerfully. A few minutes later. Feel better now, Grover? Naruto asked as they walked back to cabin 3. The satyr nodded as he munched on a bag of tin cans. He wiped the crumbs of the can off his mouth and answered, I feel better now. Thanks, Naruto. Please understand Percy. Naruto continued, he's not really mad at you. You really think so? Grover asked hopefully. Naruto nodded. He's probably just mad at himself, and maybe the Oracle for not giving the quest to him. I guess you're right. At that moment, they already made it to Percy's cabin and were waiting for Chiron to finish. Just in time though, the door creaked open and Chiron came out, apparently just finished with his talk with Percy. How is he? Naruto asked. I talked to him, he will be fine, Chiron answered. And you too? What are you still doing here? You still have a quest tomorrow. We'd like to check how he's doing, Grover said. Okay then, but don't take too long, Chiron reminded them. Sure, Chiron, the two boys answered. After that exchange, the two boys entered the room and saw Percy playing a drachma in his palm while looking at the fountain gurgling in his room. Hey Percy, we brought you some food, Naruto greeted. Sorry it's not blue, Grover added. Thanks guys, Percy smiled at his friends. I am okay really. You didn't have to check up on me. Well, that's what friends are for, Grover said. What's with the drachma? Naruto asked. Chiron suggested that I call my mom, Percy answered. But the thing is, I don't know what to say. Just tell her you're okay, Grover suggested. Yeah, besides, I want to talk to her too, Naruto said. I haven't seen her since we left for Konoha. And she's probably worried about you too, Grover added. Yeah. Percy contemplated on his friend's words. You're right. He finally took a deep breath and threw in the coin. O goddess, accept my offering. The mist shimmered, the light from the bathroom providing just enough to make a rainbow. Show me, Sally Jackson, Percy said. Upper East Side, Manhattan. The mist shimmered again, this time showing a scene of Percy's kitchen. It definitely looked better than Smelly Gabe's old apartment. Now that Sally had a say on what apartment to buy, and with Naruto's earnings from the Lotus Hotel and Casino, Naruto had to say, he loved Sally's tastes. When the mist showed Sally though, she wasn't alone. Sally was sitting on the kitchen table with some guy Naruto had never seen before. They were laughing hysterically. There was a big stack of textbooks between them. Naruto figured the man was about 30 years old with salt and pepper hair, wearing a brown jacket over a salt and pepper t-shirt. The three boys stayed silent. Percy was too stunned to say anything, while Naruto didn't want to ruin the moment. Sally, you're a riot, the guy said. You want some more wine? I shouldn't, You go ahead if you want, Sally answered. Actually, I'd better use your bathroom. May I? The guys asked. Down the hall, Sally pointed, trying not to laugh. He got up and left. The boys took that moment to call the woman's attention. Mom! Sally was startled at the sudden noise. She jumped so hard that she nearly knocked over her stack of textbooks. She focused on the mist and was able to recognize the three boys. Percy! Oh honey, is everything all right? And is that Naruto and Grover? Hi, Mom! Naruto greeted, almost pushing Percy out of view. I'm back. Sorry I didn't call. A lot of things happened. Oh, that's okay. Sally waved him off. What's important is you're okay. Hey, I am trying out a recipe for your favorite ramen Percy's been telling me about. How about I cook some for you when you come back? Naruto had stars in his eyes. That would be great. I'm sure it would be awesome. Take care now, okay? Yes, Mom. You too, Mo. Percy tried to say, but his mom was on a roll. And Grover? Sally said. Yes, Ms. Jackson? The satyr asked. I hope my boys aren't causing too much trouble, Sally said. Hey, Naruto protested, but it fell on deaf ears. Oh, not at all, Ms. Jackson, Grover answered. They are really energetic, and are a huge help in camp too. That's good to hear, Sally said. Please watch over them for me. Will do, Ms. Jackson. Grover nodded. Mom! Percy finally had gotten a word in. Oh, sorry, Percy, Sally said. What is it that you needed? What are you doing? Percy demanded. Homework, dear. Sally blinked. Then she understood the look on Percy's face. Oh, that's just Paul, I mean Mr. Blofey's. He's in my writing seminar. Naruto elbowed the boy. It's Blofey's, Percy, Sally corrected. Now tell me what's on your mind. Percy narrated everything that happened ever since she dropped them off at military school to help Grover. She told her most especially about Annabeth, and Naruto coming to their rescue just in the nick of time. He also added that Naruto is setting out to look for her in the morning. Sally's eyes welled with as Percy told her the story. Even Percy could tell that his mother was trying to keep it together. Oh, Percy, yeah, they tell me to leave it Naruto and Grover, and that there's nothing I can do. I guess I'll be coming home sometime soon. Sally twirled her pencil around her fingers. She took a deep breath like she regretted what she was about to say. As much as I like you to come home and be safe here, I know that you feel you have something to do. And as much as possible, I do not want Naruto and Grover going on the super dangerous quest without you. I feel more confident when both of you are together, you know? You two are stronger together. Stay there and do whatever you feel you need to do. Assist Naruto if ever the need arises. Do you really mean it, Mom? Percy was surprised at what her mother said. Stop, you'll make me change my mind, Sally said. You're old enough to decide on what you need to do. If you believe it's right, then you're right. As soon as she said that, the toilet flushed from across the hall. I don't have much time, boys, Sally said. Percy, whatever you decide, I love you, and I know you would do what's best for Annabeth. And Naruto, do not do anything rash. Promise me you would come home in one piece? I will, Mom, I promise. I never go back on my word, Naruto said. But Mom, how are you so sure? Percy asked, still unsure of himself. Ask your friends, they would do the same. And with that, Sally waved her hand through the mist, and the connection dissolved. Hey Percy, Naruto said. I know you really want to go, and I see one more chance for you to come on the quest with us. Though it's not right off the bat. What do you mean? Percy asked. You know, the shirt that the Stoll brothers wanted to give? Naruto pointed out. I was too focused on the quest to notice, but I have a bad feeling about that one. That's my ticket to the quest? Percy asked. Just be ready tomorrow. Naruto winked. And if worse comes to worse, get Blackjack ready. Are you sure it's a good idea to feed him ideas like that? Grover asked. He'll be fine. Naruto waved off the satyr's concern. You heard what Mom said, right? I hope you know what you're doing, Percy, Grover said. Unknown mountain peak. The ceiling crumbled over a barren cave peak. Annabeth was there in the same position she found herself in, only this time, she was a little worse for wear and any second now she would give way to fatigue. How is our mortal guest? A deep male voice akin to a bass guitar boomed, causing the tremors on the ground. Luke emerged from the shadows. She rushed to Annabeth's side and checked on her, then looked back at the unseen man. She's fading. We have to hurry. The man chuckled. From the shadows, a huge meaty hand probably belonging to the man thrust someone to the light. It was Artemis. Her hands and feet were bound by several golden chains. Her silver dress was torn in several places, and she was bleeding ichor. It was clear she had recently been in a fight. You heard the boy. The man in the shadows ordered. Decide. The goddess's eyes flashed with anger. She turned to Annabeth, and her expression changed to concern and outrage. How dare you torture her like this? She will die soon. Luke prodded, almost like pleading to her. You can save her. Annabeth let out a small squeak of protest. Free my hands, Artemis ordered. Luke brought out his sword, Backbiter, and with one expert strike, he broke the goddess's handcuffs. She ran to Annabeth's side and took the burden. The latter collapsed on the ground, shivering and coughing. Artemis staggered, trying to support the weight of the black rock on her back. Predictable. The man in the shadows chuckled. And easy to beat. I was surprised. Artemis gritted her teeth. It will never happen again. With what is happening now, it will not happen indeed, since you are out of the way for good. The man countered. I knew you could not resist helping a young maiden. That is, after all, your specialty. I am wondering, though, how you got that little son of yours. Perhaps you cannot call yourself a patron for maidens any more? That is none of your business, you ugly swine, Artemis snapped. Humph, still feisty despite your predicament. No matter. The man turned to Camp Half-Blood's traitor. Back to business. Luke, you may kill the girl now. No! Artemis yelled in defiance despite the load on her back. Luke hesitated. She may yet be of use to us, sir. Further bait. Bah! You truly believe that? The booming voice said disbelievingly. Yes, General. They will come for her for sure. Especially this son. Who are you calling? Artemis snapped. Mark my words, they will come for you. The man in the shadows merely chuckled. Who? A puny human from the elemental nations and your loyal lieutenant over the years? You better watch your back and not underestimate them. Artemis shifted the weight on her back. It might bite you later on. It is your choice to keep holding on to false hope. The man waved her off. Fine then, Luke, as you wish. The Dracini will guard her here, assuming she doesn't die from her injuries. Now then, we must greet the hunters going on their quest. The next morning, that was the worst dream he had as of late. He hated being powerless, not being able to do anything despite seeing the objects of your fury with your own two eyes. All he could do was clench his fist, grit his teeth, and shout his mother's and Annabeth's name even though they won't hear him. Oh, he wanted to beat Luke so bad, and this man in the shadows, he wanted to gut him so bad and scatter his entrails to the pit in the underworld. Nevertheless, he felt pumped this morning. He felt motivated to go and rescue his mother. He felt as if nothing could stop him. And so, there stood Naruto at the crest of Half-Blood Hill waiting for the other members of the quest to arrive. He woke up today in the Athena cabin extra early today just because of that stupid dream. Fun fact, the Athena cabin won the bet last night after the capture the flag game last night. They were able to subdue more of the hunters last night, thus getting the honor of hosting Naruto for the night. The other cabins complained about not being able to do the same due to recent developments, but what can you do? Anyway, I've strayed far from the subject long enough. Due to the extra hours, he was able to get his daily workout in and shower. He wondered though if Zoe saw the same dream he did. No matter, they will get everyone back. He stood leaning at Talia's tree, relaxing beside his little puppy and the new guard dragon for the golden fleece. They watched the sunrise into the horizon, Well, Naruto was anyway. His two companions were snoozing happily beside him. Having ADHD sucks? His morning rituals zoomed by so fast that he didn't even notice the time go by, but when he started waiting, the time slowed down drastically. Why did I have to wake up so early? Naruto muttered to himself. I'm surprised you're here ahead of the others, Naruto, a familiar voice said. Naruto looked up to see Chiron, Kakashi, and Argus walking up to him. Oh, hey guys, he greeted. I'm surprised my tardiness hasn't rubbed off on you, Kakashi commented. Are you kidding? Naruto chuckled. I hated that about you. I'm surprised you're up early, Kakashi-sensei. Tired of coming up with lame excuses? Being an instructor here necessitated a change in old habits, Kakashi explained. You better have changed, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said. 'Cause I'm not the only prankster here this time around. I know, Kakashi nodded. In any case, Chiron interjected. What was on your mind, Naruto? You looked like you were deep in thought. Naruto looked down with sadness in his eyes. Oh, yeah? You see, the thing is, the blonde didn't see it necessary to hold back the limited information he saw from his dream. As he narrated, Talia and Grover came over to their meeting place and were able to listen in on Naruto's story. Naruto! Kakashi looked at his former student with pity. To think Luke would go that far and hurt Annabeth despite everything they'd been through, Talia said. I'm sorry, Talia. Chiron tried to sound upbeat. He was never the same after you died, Grover said. Especially after he came back alive from his failed quest, Chiron added. Then, all the more reason for us to stop him, right? Talia said. Are you sure you can do this, Talia? Naruto asked. Can you really face Luke? Don't be absurd, Naruto, Talia answered, but she didn't sound sure as well. Of course I can. Naruto took Talia's hand for support. Talia returned the gesture and smiled. The next to arrive were the newest additions to camp, Nico and Bianca. Hey guys! I'm not too late, am I? Bianca said. Oh, not at all, Naruto said. Surprisingly, you're not the last one to arrive. You would think the hunters would arrive here first, but no. Talia said, clearly not amused about the hunters. You don't think they left without us, do you? Grover suggested. Naruto shook his head. They wouldn't risk going against the prophecy, especially since some deaths are involved. You really think so? It was Nico who said that. If deaths are involved, I don't think I want Bianca to go. You don't have to worry about a thing. Naruto reassured the small boy. Your sister is going with a bunch of powerhouses. There's me, Talia, and Zoe. Hey! What about me? Grover protested. Oh yeah, 3 powerhouses and Grover. Naruto joked. Hey! Just kidding. Naruto chuckled. Point is, all of us are here to watch over your sister, and this would be a good learning experience for her. Really? You promise? Nico gave him puppy dog eyes. When you look at me like that, it's hard to disagree. Naruto smiled. All right. Nico grinned. You're the best, Naruto. Oh, I wouldn't go that far, Naruto answered, but clearly he was pleased with himself. This isn't that kid on my genin team anymore, Kakashi smiled under his mask. After that, Naruto gained an irritated look. They've been gone too long now. I'd better go down there and get them. Do you think it's a good idea? Grover asked, remembering the punch they gave him for stalking. We'll be late if we wait any longer, Naruto reasoned. Okay, if you say so, Grover said. And so, Naruto trudged down to his mother's cabin. As he got closer, he noticed that the lights were turned on and a tall figure was walking back and forth as if she were agitated. He decided not to ponder on it any longer. Knock knock, K-N-O-C-K, somebody, go get the door. It was Zoe's voice coming from the inside of the cabin. She was more angry rather than agitated when Naruto heard the voice. Then, the door creaked open. It's only Naruto. The one who opened the door yelled to the rest of the hunters inside. It was Kate. She then opened the door fully and greeted the blonde. Hey, Naruto. Zoe'll be up there in a sec. Is something the matter? Naruto asked. Zoe and Phoebe are taking longer than we were expecting. Oh yeah, about that. Zoe walked to the door. Oh, it's you. Take a look at what those boys did to her. Oh my. Naruto feigned ignorance. It turns out Naruto's gut instinct about the shirt the Stoll brothers gave the hunter last night. He chided himself for not doing something about it, but what is done is done. Percy will have his chance if he gets up any time soon. He looked over to Phoebe, who was laying on the bed. She was struggling on the bed like she wanted to scratch herself, like there she was experiencing intense itchiness. What happened? Naruto asked. It's because of this, Zoe said, shoving some gloves and the shirt into Naruto's arms. It's centaur blood, Naruto said after giving it a sniff. It's faint, but I can smell it. Yes, and now we just decided that Phoebe should not come with us on the quest anymore, Zoe said. Naruto sighed. 1 second. What are you? Zoe didn't get to finish her statement. She only watched as Naruto walked away. She couldn't see what was happening, but this is what she heard. Oh, hey Naruto. Don't you have a ow? Ow. Ow. Travis, run, wow. Ow. Ow, don't take us there. She frowned at what she was hearing. She wanted to shut the door right this moment, but Naruto came into view. He had 2 boys who were pulled by the ear towards the cabin. Zoe recognized the 2 boys in the rec room yesterday. When the 3 of them were in front of cabin 8, Naruto let go of their ears and ordered, Now boys! Don't you have anything to say to the girls? We're sorry, the 2 of them mumbled. Naruto slapped them at the back of the head. I don't think they heard you. We're sorry! The boys apologized. Zoe didn't know what to say. Instead, she just gave her a tiny nod and was surprised that the blonde gave her a tiny smile back. The younger hunters saw this and returned his gesture, but the older hunters maintained the blank expressions on their faces. I don't think that is enough, is it, Zoe? Naruto then added. What do you mean? Zoe asked, not understanding what Naruto was talking about. I leave these 2 in your hands, Naruto said. Just don't kill them or hurt them. I doubt Lord Hermes would be happy if he found out that 2 of his sons got hurt. Now Zoe, if you're prepared, let's go. Naruto turned around and was on his way back to the hill. Zoe rushed inside to get her things and jogged to catch up with the blonde. Bye Naruto! Bye Zoe! Kate bid the 2 goodbyes. Naruto turned as he walks away to give the hunter a wave goodbye. She then shifted her gaze to the 2 boys, gave him a creepy, evil smile. The 2 boys looked at each other with fear in their eyes as they yelled, No! As it got close to 6 o'clock, Zoe and Naruto finally made it back on the hill. Luna was already awake and fighting with Peleus the dragon. As soon as she saw the blonde, she ditched the dragon and ran to meet the blonde. Naruto picked her up and snuggled her up close. As for the others, Grover was trying to play a tune on his reed pipes, which didn't help with Talia's mood. Bianca was sitting with her back against the tree with Nico falling asleep next to her. It took you long enough, Talia yelled back in irritation. Zoe was itching to answer back, but Naruto tried to defuse the situation. Now, it isn't their fault. What do you mean, Naruto? Chiron asked. Well, due to a couple of pranksters from last night, Phoebe fell ill, Naruto explained, earning groans from those who are present. Sound like you rubbed off on them, Kakashi commented. Whoa, Naruto denied it. They were already pranksters long before I came here. Well, what can we do? Chiron asked rhetorically. I suppose we could take Percy since he wanted to join the quest. I don't know about that, Bianca spoke up. I feel like we should not pick anybody else. Everyone stared at her, causing the new demigod to feel flustered. What? Why is everyone looking at me? She might be right, Zoe said. The prophecy did say we would lose one in the land without rain. I don't know. Grover shook his head. That can't be here. It might be. The camp does have magical borders to keep the rain out, right? Zoe reasoned. Naruto thought it through. Why, you don't have to listen to me though. Bianca spoke up. I mean, I could be wrong. Nah, gut feelings are often right, Naruto said. Besides, I'm sure Zoe's itching to go now, am I right? And I'm sure you wouldn't want another boy to join the quest. Zoe nodded. We should go. We have been delayed long enough. Could you take Nico back to cabin 11? Bianca pleaded. Leave it to me, my girl, Chiron said. Now, good luck everyone, and may the gods be with you. Chapter 11. On the way west we go. Oh no! I can't be late, Percy muttered as he rushed to Half-Blood Hill. Why was he rushing, you ask? Well, Naruto told him to expect someone to be taken out of the quest even before they started. He didn't mean killed. Percy figured it was more of incapacitate. On this particular day, he did wake up early and get his gear ready for the quest. But something happened to cause him to be this late. As he readied his gear, he heard banging. He looked around. He definitely was alone. Naruto didn't bunk in his room this night. He did promise to bunk with the other cabins. It was the Athena cabin that night. That didn't stop the banging though. It continued on. It was coming from his door. He opened the door to see a black Pegasus. It was the same one they saved from Luke's ship during the summer when they were coming back from the Sea of Monsters. He was asking for help. It was something about a sea critter being caught in a net. But Percy froze when he heard an unfamiliar sound for the sea. It was a moo. He couldn't understand it. He knew about sea cows, but he didn't expect it to really be a cross between a cow and a fish. Well, TLDR, he saved it. It was hard without using his sword. The poor sea cow was scared of his blade. After saving Bessie, don't ask me. It was Percy's idea. He immediately made it to Half-Blood Hill expecting them to be waiting for him, but alas, they weren't there anymore. It was just Chiron, Argus, and he couldn't remember his name. Oh yeah, there was Nico. He lay on the tree snoozing. Luna was also there pouting. It looks like Naruto didn't bring him on the quest. Percy, good morning, Chiron greeted. You're up early. Oh, hey Chiron and cacao tree? Percy said. The Jonin sighed. It's Kakashi. Oh yeah? Right, sorry. Percy scratched the back of his head. So, what are you doing up, Gaki? Kakashi asked him. I take it you're not part of the quest supposedly. Gaki? He didn't recognize that word, but he decided not to dwell on it further. I heard the quest lost one member. Who was it? It was Phoebe, Chiron answered. Why? What happened? Percy asked. The Stoll brothers rigged the shirt they gave her. Now she's covered in hives and is bedridden for a week, the centaur explained. Oh my! Percy said in mock shock. He wasn't really shocked. It was something to be expected from the pseudo-twins of Cabin 11. In addition to that, Naruto told him of their intentions the night before. So yeah, Kakashi looked at him with sympathy. You wanted to replace Phoebe on the quest, am I right? Percy nodded. I'm sorry, my boy, Chiron said. You just missed them. Oh, is that so? Percy said. With that being said, Nico stirred from his sleep and groggily asked, Are they gone? I'm afraid so, Chiron answered. Now Percy, could you take Nico here back to the cabin 11? Okay, Chiron, Percy said, then he turned to the younger demigod. Come on, Nico. Nico slowly stood up and the two of them walked towards Nico's cabin. What's wrong, Nico? Percy asked. I'm worried about Bianca, the little kid answered. Oh, Nico, I'm sure Naruto would look after her. Percy comforted the kid, but he didn't look convinced. They told her that the quest needed 6. Nico reasoned. I'm worried something might happen to her. Percy shook his head. Naruto won't let a prophecy stop him from looking after your sister. He didn't listen. He gasped as he thought about a great idea. You could go follow them. But Nico, the van already left and I don't have any ride to follow them. The son of Poseidon tried to reason, but a horse swooped down beside Percy and whinnied. Do you have some apples, boss? Percy's mind translated the black Pegasus's whinnies in his mind. Wow, cool! It's a Pegasus, Nico said with wide eyes. Now you have a ride, right? Oh, Nico, I don't know, Percy lied. Please, Nico pleaded, will you please go join the quest? Nico didn't give him a time to reason out. Besides, you're planning to go anyway, aren't you? On the road west. Ugh, I'm hungry, Grover moaned as the van drove west towards their destination. You didn't eat before we left, did you? Naruto said. No, Grover replied sheepishly. A loud grumbling sound came from Naruto's stomach, causing the others to give him odd looks. Grover gave Naruto a knowing look. You didn't have breakfast too, did you? It's not my fault. Naruto tried to defend himself. It's cause of that stupid dream that woke me up too early. Breakfast didn't even come to mind. To think we will have a dream at the same time as I. Zoe said. You did? Naruto snapped, leaning over to the driver's seat. Calm thyself down, boy, Zoe scolded. I will thee. Zoe narrated her dream to the questers. Surprisingly, or unsurprisingly at this point, it was the same dream Naruto had that night. Naruto began completing her sentences upon realizing that. You seem like you already know about this, Bianca told the rest of the members of the quest. That's cause Naruto already told us some people took their sweet time getting to the quest, Talia said from her spot beside the blonde. And I'm telling you, it wasn't our fault, Zoe argued back. It was that camper's fault for that silly prank on Phoebe. Now we lost our best tracker. Come guys, this isn't the time to argue about that, Bianca pleaded. Fine. The two arguing females relented. It is thy luck day, boys, Zoe said. What is it this time? Naruto asked. The van's tank is already running on empty, Zoe explained. We can stop for breakfast, but that shall be our only stop, got it? Naruto shook his head. How about lunch? Don't tell me you're going to skip lunch. Or dinner, Grover added. You two boys are always hungry, aren't you? Bianca asked. Grover's ears turned pink, and the blonde rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Just then, a low, quiet grumble came from Zoe's stomach. Everyone smirked at Zoe. Someone's hungry too, Talia teased. Fine, we can stop for breaks, Zoe said, trying to save face. At a random gas station, and it was still fairly early in the morning, so they were able to travel quite a way away thanks to the absence of traffic at this time of day. Upon finding a gas station, Zoe pulled up in front of a pump and everyone unloaded out of the van. Fortunately for them, there was a fast food right beside them. It had a logo of two golden arches placed side by side so they formed the letter M. Naruto dug into his pocket and handed the Grover a platinum-colored card with a lotus logo on the front and Naruto's name on it. That looks familiar somehow, Bianca said, noticing the card he was giving Grover. Didn't you keep yours? Naruto asked. This is how it looks like when you bring it out of the hotel. Grover looked at the two oddly, then to the piece of plastic he was handed, and the color drained from his face. Why you kept this? Why didn't you throw it away? Naruto waved off his concern. Why? Who am I to refuse free money? But come on, relax. Nothing will happen. I'm still alive, right? Naruto said. Now go buy the girls some food and I'll catch up with ya. Grover gave Naruto one more questioning look and nodded his head. Fine, if you say so. What will you do? Talia asked. I'll fill up the tank, Naruto answered. And so, there was our favorite blonde whistling a tune to himself as he pumped gas into the tank. He wanted to have some earbuds in his ears so bad, but you know what happens with demigods and technology. It's not that he couldn't handle an attack. It's just that he was almost never on his own and he never wanted to attract unnecessary attention, especially when quests, if you catch my drift. Anyway, standing in the shadows was a shady character who had been watching the group ever since they dismounted their vehicle. The character nodded to someone else hiding and went out. He walked over to the blonde clutching a switchblade in his pocket. You there? Don't get any ideas. Just give me all your money and I'll be on my way. Naruto continued tapping and whistling to his imaginary tune. TCH. He clicked his tongue when he noticed the blonde ignoring him. Hey you? I'm talking to you. There was still no response. Hey! The man raised his voice. What? Where? Who? Naruto looked around at whoever could have called him. I'm sorry. Did you say something? The shady character grit his teeth. Give me all your money, so I can gut you and leave. How about no? Naruto shook his head. The thug brandished a pocket knife. Any last words before I cut you to pieces? Go away, Naruto answered. Clever smartass. The man grumbled as he charged forward ready to stab a seemingly defenseless blonde. It happened so fast. At first, he thought he was ready to plunge in the knife, but the next thing he knew, he was facing the wrong direction with his own knife aimed at the back of his head. The thug struggled to get free and pleaded. Let go of me, please! I'll do anything! I'll give you anything! A bit too late for that. In the first place, didn't I tell you to go away? Naruto said in a dangerously calm voice. I should be done by now and having breakfast with my friends. Bob, help me! The thug called out. Someone came out of the shadows and tried to sneak up on Naruto. See, your friend here has the right idea. Naruto talked down on the thug he had in a hold. You're a dead man, the thug answered back. Oh really? Naruto talked back. Out of the corner of Naruto's eyes, the shadows shifted. The two thugs didn't notice it. The shadows peeled themselves out of the ground, revealing a small puppy with silver fur charging towards the skulking thug named Bob. Get away of him! Naruto's mind translated the puppy's barks. Bob didn't get to do anything. A silver blur rammed him, knocking him to the ground. The silver puppy growled at him, daring him to do something. Get it off me! Bob yelled in fear. Naruto pushed the thug he held and knocked him with the handle of the pocket knife. Stay down! He then turned to the guy on the ground and saw his most favorite puppy in the world. Luna! What are you doing here? Naruto greeted. Luna regarded him briefly with a happy bark and returned to growling at the thug. Please have mercy on me, he pleaded. If I let you go, will you leave us alone? Naruto asked. Yes, anything. Just please let me go, he whined. Fine. Luna, heal, Naruto ordered. Luna looked at him oddly, and Naruto gave him a reassuring look. Luna complied, trusting in her master, and jumped to her master's arms. Bob scurried to his feet and briefly looked at the animal who had him at her mercy. What the? Bob stopped upon seeing the puppy. It was just a... He didn't get to finish his statement as Luna growled at him, but this time her voice was deeper and almost demonic. In addition to that, her eyes glowed red and some of her furs turned black. This spooked Bob so much that he almost forgot to pick up his friend as he fled. Naruto looked at his puppy, who had returned to normal. Now what are you doing here, little miss? I thought I told you to stay in camp. I really missed you. I didn't want to left alone again. He translated. Oh, Luna, there are a lot of campers back at camp, Naruto said. But I really missed you. She gave him her puppy dog eyes. If you look at me like that, I'd... Naruto was beginning to break. Oh, okay, fine. Tell you what, I'll finish filling up the van, and how about we go get some chicken and burgers? I like that very much. With Percy, a jet black horse with wings was flying above the horizon, following a white van that traversed the highway. The Pegasus panted as he tried to keep up with the much faster vehicle. Are you okay, Blackjack? Percy asked. The horse whinnied. I'll be fine, boss. Are you sure? Percy asked again, worried about his ride. I'm not sure if they would stop any time soon. I'm a strong horse, boss. This tailing had gone on for a few more minutes up until the horse was completely exhausted. Finally, they stopped. The horse sighed in relief as they landed on the rooftop of one building. Are you sure you can keep up with them? Percy made sure. I can. I just need a little breather. The Pegasus tried to act strong despite the condition it was in. All right, if you say so. The son of Poseidon didn't sound convinced. Why don't you stay here while I go get us something to eat? Percy turned around and saw a shady figure trying to sneak up on Naruto. The said blonde seemed oblivious to the skulking danger. He was about to jump off when something slithered up his ankles and held on tight. "And where do you think you're going?" A lazy voice drawled from right behind him. A chill ran up Percy's spine as the voice registered in his mind. To add to that, Blackjack let out a loud neigh like a bunch of poachers had found him. "Oh, hey Mr. D!" Percy waved meekly at the god of wine. "How's it going?" At the same moment inside the restaurant, the group was sitting at a table munching on some food they have bought. No one said a word as they ate since Talia and Zoe were at odds, while Bianca and Grover didn't want to say anything for fear of saying anything that would cause a fight. Eventually, they got tired of the silence, and Grover began to break the ice. It's a good thing they sell these veggie burgers, huh? You don't like meat?" Bianca asked. Grover shook his head. "It doesn't feel right to eat my fellow animals." "So, Grover, we should start with your tracking song before we go," Talia suggested. "How sure are thee that thy song would find Artemis?" Zoe asked. "It works," Grover protested as he bit through the wrapper along with his burger. "Lay of Grover, will ya?" Talia challenged. "I am just making sure we need to find our goddess," Zoe reasoned. "Remember, it was thy campers who took out our best tracker." "Well, if you weren't so stuck up all the time, then maybe we could have gotten along," Talia countered. "And for the last time, it's your and you, not thy, thou, or thee. This is not the 1500s. Come to think of it? Why do you sound like you're from the 1550s? Bianca chimed in. "I don't like talking about my past," Zoe muttered. "But that is not important right now. We have a mission to look for my goddess. If that tracking song of yours does not work, then we have a backup," Talia answered. "You're forgetting who else is on this team. Thou art talking about Artemis' son." Zoe raised an eyebrow. "Of course. He's a highly trained shinobi and he's super strong too." Grover beamed proudly. Zoe flashed him a look and said, "Even so, but why must thee put thy trust in a mere boy? He's not just a mere boy, he's different," Talia countered. "Oh, how far have thee fallen?" Zoe shook her head. "No wonder you refused to join us, I told you. Back then I had to look after Annabeth and the others." Talia defended herself. "Besides, I owe my second life to him. That idiot, not knowing when something is impossible. To be fair, he doesn't believe the word impossible exists," Grover chimed in. "Tell you what," Talia said, offering a proposition. "Why don't we put our differences aside just for once for the sake of the quest? Can you at least manage that?" Zoe briefly considered this. "You seem intent on helping the boy. I told you I owe him a lot. He would do the same for us, anyway," Talia reasoned, then she offered her hand to the hunter's lieutenant. "So, what do you say? Truce?" "Truce." Zoe accepted the offered hand and they shook on it. "Could you hold off on the man-hating thing too?" Grover added. "Fine, but just for the half-bloods on this quest." Zoe relented. "Hey, guys!" Naruto greeted as he walked up to the table. "You won't believe who came to join us?" "Bark!" The little puppy in Naruto's arms greeted in his own way. "How did she get here?" Bianca asked. "Beats me." Naruto shrugged. "She just appeared out of nowhere." Everyone looked at each other, not sure of how to make of this. "Let's just eat," Zoe said. "We can figure that out later." "I suppose you're right." Naruto shrugged it off. "So, would you like some chicken nuggets?" he asked. Of course, Washington, D.C. wise, dear reader. You read that right. Our group of demigods had continued on south instead of going west. Why, you ask? Well, as agreed on, Grover played his tracking song using, believe it or not, some acorns. Zoe gave him a questioning look, but she gave the goat boy the benefit of the doubt in accordance to hers and Talia's agreement. And now they're here. The van pulled up next to a museum. It was the Museum of Natural History. Naruto's head snapped to the side. He saw the air shimmer in the direction she saw the shimmer. "What's wrong?" Bianca asked, noticing the blonde's sudden jerk. "It's nothing," He lied. In fact, he had just detected Percy using Annabeth's invisibility cap. Somehow, he had made it to them even though he was left at the camp. Nice, Percy. Good job catching up, he thought to himself. Are you sure this is the right place? Talia asked. We've gone a long way away from what the prophecy said. And the Acorns told you to come here? Bianca asked. Hey, I'll have you know that this is a time-honored skill. I know I did it right, Grover explained. Guys, you have to believe me. I felt nature tell me to go there. How sure are you about this? Talia asked. 99%, Grover said. No, maybe 85. We will have to make do, Zoe spoke up. I feel traces of my lady's essence lingering in the air. Let us just look around for clues. Naruto smirked. What happened to you, Zoe? No berating today? It is none of thy business, Zoe said, keeping a straight face. Okay, Naruto said. Anyone want to check out that pirate event? Sounds like a costume party. Naruto, it says the private event, Grover corrected. Naruto narrowed his eyes to look at the sign better. Oh, does it? Sorry. That seems like a good place to start, Bianca offered. Naruto nudged the sleeping puppy sitting on his lap to wake her. Come on, girl. Time to get down. With PRCY, Naruto must have rubbed off on Percy cause right now he was doing a great job of sneaking into the private event. Well, he was borrowing Annabeth's cap of invisibility, but you have to hand it to him. He looked like a natural. All this tailing though started when a dark, suspicious-looking sedan pulled up into the parking lot of the museum. It carried an old enemy that he didn't want to see so soon. It was Dr. Thorne. They entered a huge chamber filled with mastodons and dinosaur skeletons. Percy managed to slip indoors for the manticore. They entered a large round room with a balcony ringing the second level. There were at least a dozen mortal guards dotting the area, along with two monsters, reptilian women with double snake trunks instead of legs. If he remembered correctly, Annabeth had called them Scythian Dracini. Percy had to wonder how the mortals could work with the monsters. He had to push that thought aside as that wasn't the worst of the things to worry about, because standing in between the snake women was an old enemy. It was Luke Castellan, except his skin was paler and older than last time he saw him if memory served him right. The angry light in his eyes didn't change as well as the scar that made its way down the side of his face, but now it looked red like it reopened somehow. Standing beside him with an uncaring look on his face was a younger boy around Naruto's age or maybe older. He had his eyes closed, maybe to drown everything around him, or maybe just because he didn't care. He had spiky black hair that hung over the side of his face. Percy had to say, it kinda looked like a duck's butt. Percy didn't know who he was, but he looked like bad news if they were to fight against him. There was another man in the room, but he was hidden in the shadows. All Percy could see from him were his knuckles that clutched the armrest of the throne, and what he can occasionally hear from him were groans and complaints about his neck. Though his voice was not icy and creepy like the voice of Kronos from his dreams, it was deep and booming like it was coming from the earth itself. Dr. Thorne decided to speak up in his French accent after doing a stiff bow. They are here, General. I know that already, but where? The man with a booming voice said. In the Rocket Museum, Thorne answered. The Air and Space Museum, Luke corrected irritably. Thorne shot him a glare and answered with venom in his voice. As you say, sir. He sounded like he couldn't accept Luke as a leader of sorts. How many? Luke asked. Thorne didn't answer. How many? The general demanded. 5, General. He finally answered. The satyr, Grover Underwood, the girl in, how do the young ones call it these days, punk clothes with her horrible shield, and that teleporting boy, the son of the goddess. Talia and Naruto, Luke said. The teen with the duck-butt hairstyle seemed interested at the mention of the blonde's name. And 2 other girls, hunters, one wears a silver circlet, that one I know. The general growled. Everyone in shifted uncomfortably. Let me take them. Luke presented. We have more than enough. Humph. Sasuke scoffed at Luke's proposal. You couldn't stop them at the boat even when you outnumber them. Luke glared at him. Your boastful master couldn't do anything about them either. I liked you do better. That snake is not my master. Sasuke's eyes flashed red with 3 tomo in his irises. But as you say, I will show you how to do things. Patience. The general calmed the 2 arguing men. They'll have their hands full soon enough. I will send them a playmate. But, Luke tried to protest. We cannot risk you, my boy. Yes, boy. Thorn dittoed the general's statement. You are much too fragile. Let me finish them off. No! The general rose from his throne, giving Percy a good look at him. For starters, he looked like a living statue. He had dark, slick back hair, gray stone-like eyes, light brown skin, and a very muscular build. He had a brutal face, huge shoulders, and hands that could snap a flagpole in half. He had a regal expression in his face that Percy knew he had seen before, and now had a cold, proud look in his fury for the Manticore. He was wearing an expensive brown suit like the ones you would see on Wall Street brokers. You have already failed me, Thorn! He snapped. But General, no excuses! Thorn flinched. This time he didn't look too scary as when Percy met him in the military school. At that moment, Sasuke flung a kunai at Percy's direction. It whizzed past his cheek, drawing blood. What is it, boy? The general asked. It seems we have a fly milling about. Chapter 12. Not another one. A dark-haired teen with his hair looking like a duck's but had his arm outstretched like he had just flung a projectile weapon. His eyes glowed red as his bloodline was activated. He had his eyes transfixed on a particular spot where the others could see nothing in particular. What are you doing? Luke asked. There is nothing there. Nothing can fool these eyes of mine, Sasuke said, directing it to the invisible force in the room more than to his ally. Show yourself! Percy didn't know what to do. He had somehow been spotted. But how? He was sure he was invisible. The sound of 1,000 screeching birds could now be heard as the Uchiha activated his jutsu. This is your last warning. This looked bad for the son of Poseidon. There was nothing left for him to do. The only logical thing he could do right now was to run for his life. He didn't know how far he could get against another shinobi, but he still ran. Sasuke moved to chase him, but the general stopped him. Save your energy, my boy. He will be destroyed along with the rest of them. He turned to one of the mortals. Do you have the teeth? With Naruto and the others. Annabeth would be on a roll if she were with us right now, Naruto said as they milled around the Air and Space Museum looking for anything weird. I remember when she took me here. She could have gone for hours. That's little Annabeth for you. Talia chuckled. She always loved to learn. They looked high and low around the museum. The place wasn't crowded at all. There were only a few mortal families and a couple of tour groups for kids on their holiday school trips. There was nothing weird at all. Nothing out of the ordinary, only the saddle with them could smell monsters. Just then, an invisible force slammed into Talia, except it wasn't an invisible force. The invisibility cap rolled off on impact, revealing Percy, who was barreling through the museum to get away from his pursuer. Bark, Luna greeted, trying to cover Percy's face in slobber. Percy, you made Grover began in glee, but he caught himself at the glare of the lieutenant of the hunters. I mean, what are you doing here? Zoe narrowed her eyes at the satyr, then returned her glare to the newcomer. She had her bow drawn, ready to skewer him with an arrow at any moment. How dare you show yourself here? Percy narrated the tale of what he found out in the Natural History Museum as he tried to calm the puppy down. Apparently, that was enough to soften. It shifted to a look of surprise. Surely you lie, boy, Zoe said, trying to deny the fact. The general cannot be here. He is, Percy pushed. But there's no time. That guy with the red eyes is after me. Red eyes? Naruto asked. What are you talking about, Percy? That guy with a hair like a duck's butt, Percy explained. I think he's from the elemental nations too. Sasuke. Naruto was stunned as well. He didn't expect to meet his old teammate here of all places. You know him from somewhere? Bianca asked. He's an old friend, Naruto answered. But what is he doing here? Grover asked. Orochimaru must have brought him here with him, Naruto explained. In any case, we will not survive a fight if the general really is here, Zoe said. We must leave immediately. You're right, Percy nodded. That's really stupid of you, Percy, coming all the way out here, Talia said. Come on, let's go to the van. Absolutely not. I only agreed to travel with him, Zoe protested as she gestured at the blonde. I will not, Kitty! Everyone turned their attention to the commotion. Zoe was interrupted by the kids yelling in glee while the adults screamed in fear trying to get away from something. Luna growled. Then, a huge hulking beast bounded up the ramp. It was easily the size of a pickup truck with silver claws and golden fur that shimmered in the sunlight. The small little puppy, the brave one it is, pounced forward and growled. A few of her fur streaked the color black and her growl sounded deep and demonic for a second. No! It can't be! Grover screamed. The Nemean lion! Everyone! No sudden movements! Talia ordered. The lion stalked around them, licking its lips at the prospect of its newfound prey. It was like that for a few moments until it took the moment to pounce at them. Luna stood her ground, so Naruto dove for his little pup and they skid over the floor towards the stair railing. He looked up to see his friends. They had successfully scattered away from the initial attack and were firing pot shots at the beast, but the arrows were only shattering over the lion's mane. Hold it off! Naruto pleaded. I'll join you in a sec. When? Zoe yelled back. At this rate, we'll. Zoe paused as she jumped away to avoid another strike. She turned to the blonde. He was now sitting in a meditative position, unmoving. What is he doing? No one answered her. Bianca merely screamed as she dove to the floor, avoiding another attack from the impenetrable beast. Percy uncapped his blade and tried to slice the lion on its side. He looked confused when Riptide bounced harmlessly over the lion's hide. With that attack, the lion became interested in the son of Poseidon. No! Talia yelled, getting an ear-piercing roar from their opponent. She hefted her shield and commanded, back. The lion growled as it retreated from the terrifying image of Medusa carved on the daughter of Zeus' shield. For a moment, it was moving backwards, but then it crouched like how the cats did when they were fighting. Fortunately, Grover played a jig that caused thick vines to shoot out of the ground and wrap around the lion's hind legs. It pounced just like it planned to, but the vines held strong and caused the lion to fall flat on its face. But that was just a temporary fix. The beast eventually tore through the vines, freeing itself, and bounded over to Talia. Over here! Zoe yelled to get the lion's attention away from the daughter of Zeus through the arrows she pelted the beast with. Is he not ready yet? Bianca asked as she drew an arrow of her own. He's been sitting there all this time. Just trust him. Percy yelled, going for another hack and slash. He'll pull through, ow! He screamed in pain as the golden beast managed to rake its claws on Percy's coat. Hey! That was my only coat! Percy complained to the lion as it pounced on him and slammed him to the side. The lion knew how to defend itself and where its weak spots were. It knew better than to roar too much lest it be shot with arrows. It even knew to squint its eyes to remove another target for the archers. Once it knew he had gotten rid of Percy, he turned to face Talia. This time, it knew to ignore her and went straight for the archers. Zoe kept her cool despite being targeted by the beast, but Bianca, being the newbie she is, panicked, causing her to slip and fall down flat on her back. She sat up groggily, and couldn't recover fast enough to see that the lion was after her. No! The four questers yelled as they watched. They tried to run to her aid, but the beast bounded for her. It stopped and pounced to close the gap. The others knew they couldn't make it. It was almost helpless. Until an orange blur slammed into the golden monstrosity and pushed the beast into the wall with himself. Pan? Grover asked, hopefully sensing the energy coming from the newcomer. I haven't seen this kind of strength since. Zoe muttered under her breath, then shook head. No, this boy isn't like that pig. The figure walked through the dust formed by the earlier attack. It was Naruto. Except, his features were different this time. There was an orange pigmentation around his eyes and his irises had a thick horizontal line in the middle. You okay? Naruto knelt in front of the downed girl. Naruto offered a hand to help her. I've been better, Bianca said. But how did you? It's the same one I used back at Westover. Naruto explained. All that training is paying off right now. Stirring came from the massive hole in the wall. I guess Kitty wants to play some more. Naruto turned to the dust beginning to clear. Naruto raised his hand and motioned for the beast to come. The two fighters stalked each other, daring each other to make a move. Luna walked in front of Naruto trying to get a piece of the action. Then, another commotion broke through the momentary silence. Another blood-curdling roar pierced through the air. Not another one, Zoe muttered. I trust you can handle the other one, Zoe? Naruto asked the huntress. Leave it to us, she answered. Then she ran to the lower floor with Talia and Grover in tow. Are you crazy? Bianca ran to the blonde. He'll rip you to shreds. I got this, Naruto said nonchalantly as he stared down the beast. You should help them. They will need all the help they can get. Bianca gave Naruto a look of concern before arguing some more. Are you sure? She asked some more. If there's one thing you should know about Naruto, he doesn't know the word impossible, Percy said. But... Bianca's voice trailed off. Oh, fine. Naruto relented. Percy, better go help them. Bianca and I will take care of the fur ball here, Naruto ordered his friend. Right. Percy acknowledged before running to the ROAR. The lion protested at the nickname Naruto gave him. Shut up, Naruto answered back. What about me? Luna protested as well. Geez, everyone's eager, aren't we? Naruto said. Fine, Luna and I'll distract the beast. You find an opening to shoot the lions inside. Leave it to me, Bianca nodded. Fortunately for them, Naruto's eye contact with the great beast was able to keep it down long enough until they were ready. Once they met each other in the middle trying to rip each other's arms off. The golden lion was getting frustrated. He couldn't get a scratch on the blonde even if he tried. His opponent was just too agile for him. It managed to get a few hits in, but its claws never dug through the skin. Although, it was still smart enough to keep its mouth shut throughout the fight. Adding to that, there were arrows trying to pelt its eyes and mouth. It didn't pierce its skin, but it was still annoying for the beast. Luna was a natural fighter despite being in the field for the first time in her life. Due to her size, she was more agile than the blonde. She was following Naruto's lead perfectly. If only the beast's mane wasn't as hard as steel, it would have been bleeding by now. As she fought, her fur turned as black as night with glowing red streaks. Somehow, she exuded an aura of death, which went unnoticed to her two companions. Anyway, after a few turns of dancing around, another swipe of her claws was sent that didn't do any good at all. This time though, Naruto didn't dodge. He caught the big claw in his arm and held on tight. The next thing that happened shocked everyone. He pulled the beast over his shoulder and slammed it back first onto the ground, exposing its stomach. Without missing a beat, a swirl of chakra could be heard from the blonde's hand compressing it into a ball of concentrated energy. Naruto slammed his attack on the belly of the beast, causing it to roar in pain and digging a crater on the floor beneath the two combatants. Bianca, seeing the opening, dug an arrow out of quiver and stabbed it into the lion's open mouth before it could even close its mouth. With that, the lion started melting, the way monsters do when you stab them with celestial bronze, but this time it was different. From the size of a truck, it shrunk down until it was the size of a normal lion's pelt. Picture the classical depictions of Hercules with the same pelt of a lion over his head. Naruto picked up the spoils and shrugged. That wasn't important right now. He had to check on his friends. He looked towards them and said, Is everyone all right? Let's do that again. One particular puppy said enthusiastically. That was scary, Bianca said worriedly. I hope we don't run into anything dangerous again. Oh, Bianca, Naruto shook his head as he ruffled her hair. With our luck, I don't think that's possible. Is it always bad when demigods go out on quests? Bianca asked. Sadly, yes, Naruto answered. Our scents tend to attract monsters like sugar to ants. Ouch, Bianca winced. Don't worry, that's why we stay at camp, to teach us how to better defend ourselves from monsters, Naruto explained. And do monsters always drop stuff like that? She said, pointing to the now golden letter jacket with an omega on the back part. Normally, monsters drop teeth or maybe a skull, Naruto shrugged. I'm surprised as you are that the lion turned to this jacket here. Speaking of which, Naruto eyed the spoils. I think you should keep it. Bianca shook her head. I think you should have it. I mean, you did all the work. Are you kidding? Naruto said. This would just be redundant with the Sennin Moto's rock-hard skin. You need it more. All right if you say so. Bianca glanced sideways for a while. Earth to humans. Naruto's internal senses translated the bark. The other lion? Oh, right, the blonde said upon realizing just that. Let's go. He hopped stairs down to the floor below without fear of broken bones at all. With another bark in response, Luna melted to the shadows and disappeared. Bianca saw this and was stunned. The energy that irradiated from the small puppy seemed familiar somehow, like it was close to home, but she couldn't place a finger on it at all. Then, she remembered the jacket. She wore the jacket over her shoulders. The size was a little too big for her, and the article of clothing seemed to realize this as well, as it shrunk further to fit her smaller frame. Thank you, Naruto, she muttered and ran after the two. Camp half-Bielodi Nico peeked into the big house looking for the activities director. Naturally, he was worried about his sister. The both of them have no training for combat at all. How was she supposed to keep up with the others? And in addition to that, he didn't get to say goodbye to his sister at all. The day they left, they were already gone when he woke up. Hello there, my boy, Chiron greeted as he walked out of the door. What brings you here? I'm worried about Bianca, Nico said. Will she be okay? I understand how you feel, Nico. Chiron placed a reassuring hand on the demigod's shoulder. Not many demigods leave for a quest on their first week at camp. Even Percy had a bit of training when he went on his first quest. That doesn't make me feel better, Chiron, Nico muttered. My point is, my boy, Percy had to rely on his teammates for the quest, and Bianca, right now, is surrounded by experienced demigods who could look after her, Chiron said. And Naruto is with them as well. He would go above and beyond just to save his friends. Thanks, Chiron, Nico finally smiled. Just then, a voice came calling for the centaur. As the voice came close, Chiron could see that it was a girl of Asian descent, and if you go by looks, she looked like she was from the Aphrodite cabin. She wore ringlets on her dark hair and makeup on her face. She seemed to be in a panic. What's wrong, Drew? Chiron asked. Has anything happened to the camp? The now named Drew shook her head. No. It's worse. A lot worse. Chiron kept his calm, but he was certainly worried. Now calm down, Drew, and tell me what happened. It's terrible. Luna is gone again, Drew said dramatically. How is that worse? Nico asked. Drew gave him an annoyed look. Because, new guy, if Naruto finds out I lost his puppy, he might not go out with me. Okay. Nico just agreed so the girl would get off his case. Have you tried looking for her? Chiron asked. Yes, Drew snapped, but the panic was evident on her voice. I looked everywhere, but I can't find her. You don't think she went out of the camp, do you? Nico offered. Never mind. He retracted his statement as soon as Drew's gaze fell upon him. We just have to look again, Chiron said. We should ask for help from the other campers. Fine, Drew said and walked back to the other campers. Chiron took a deep breath and sighed. Oh dear! With the Gangas, Bianca began to walk down to join his friends. She accidentally kicked something in the pile of gold dust scattered by the death of the beast. Huh, what's this? She asked herself as she picked it up. She didn't know what it was, so she just shrugged and pocketed the item, then went to join her friends. "Hey Bianca!" Naruto called to her as she slowly walked down the stairs. "What's taking you?" All right, she said. "I'm coming." "Hey, nice jacket," Percy said as the girl got closer. "I was thinking Naruto was going to get the spoils from the Nemean lion this time," Grover added. "Nah, it suits her more, right Bianca?" Naruto waved off Grover's comment. "And I see Percy got his own too." "Nice. I suppose," Bianca answered. "Well, Zoe decided I should keep it even if she did finish the beast off." Percy scratched the back of his head like his best friend always did. "Warming up on boys, I see?" Naruto chided the hunter's lieutenant, earning a glare. "Do not misunderstand," Zoe corrected. "I am merely recognizing his worth as a warrior." "Right," Naruto continued to joke. "How did you guys kill the thing anyway?" "Funny story," Grover began, chuckling. "It started with an ice cream sandwich." "What?" Bianca nodded her eyebrows in confusion, but her query wasn't answered. "Naruto is right to make haste." Zoe spoke up in the middle of the conversation and pointed to a group of men walking across the museum lawn. "The guards are the least of our worries." Luna began growling, sensing the oncoming threat. Gray men wearing camouflage outfits could be seen walking on the museum lawn through the glass walls. They were far away, but even without the Byakugan, he could tell that they were looking right at them. "You better go," Percy said. "I'll hold them off long enough for you to escape." "No, we stay together," Zoe said. Naruto and Percy stared at her. "Okay, am I missing something here?" Naruto asked what was both on their minds. Zoe met their gaze. "As much as I hate to say this, you are the sixth member of this quest. And we are not leaving anyone behind." "All right." Naruto clapped his hands together. "Let's go!" As quickly as possible, they boarded the camp van which stayed parked where they left it, and floored it. This time it was Talia who was driving so as not to draw suspicion from the authorities about a minor driving the car, even if Zoe was 1,000 years old now. As they drove, Luna had taken a liking to Lieutenant of the Hunt, since she's somehow good with caring for the pup. "Who knew you knew how to care for pups like her?" Grover commented. "I had cared for her kind when I first joined the hunt," Zoe explained. "They make for wonderful companions and scouts." "Wait a minute," Naruto clarified. "You said her kind? She's just a normal pup, isn't she?" "Naruto, she disappears out of nowhere," Percy said. "You still think he's your everyday puppy? You don't know what she is?" Zoe said. "She is not your run-of-the-mill puppy. She is a dire wolf." "Really?" Everyone was surprised by the revelation. "But aren't they extinct?" Grover asked. "No one has seen them for thousands of years." "Yes," Zoe nodded. "Even the hunt stopped looking for their kind as companions after they died out. It's a miracle that one had survived after all this time." "She's a miracle indeed, isn't she?" Naruto mused as he watched the puppy snuggle close to them. "I hate to break the moment, but we are being followed," Talia said as they crossed the Potomac. "That's like the one that showed up at Westover," Bianca commented. "How are they working for them? Don't they see the monsters around them?" "They are mercenaries," Zoe answered distastefully. "Mortals will fight for any coin as long as they are paid well. Plus there's the mist too," Percy added. "It'll keep them from seeing the truth." "We can count on the military to shoot it down," Grover said hopefully. "I don't know. They probably think it's a new helicopter or something." Naruto shot down the idea. "We could use a little lightning bolt here, Dad." Talia grits her teeth as she swerved from lane to lane, trying to get as far away from their pursuer as possible. "Pretty please?" Talia's prayer fell on deaf ears. No helpful thunderstorm, nor even a cloud was in sight. "There!" Bianca yelled, spotting a parking lot. "Take us there! We'll be trapped!" Talia protested. "Trust me," Bianca pleaded. With no other choice left, Talia shot across 2 lanes of traffic and into a mall parking lot on the south bank of a river. They ditched the lot and scurried down some steps that Bianca somehow knew were there. Subway, Bianca said. Let's take it south to Alexandria. We haven't got a choice, Naruto said. We have to. And so, they bought the tickets, got through the turnstiles, making sure to check behind them if they were pursued. Not long after that, they had boarded the southbound train, riding away from Washington, D.C. As the train emerged from underground, they saw the helicopter circling the area of the mall trying to look for any sign of them. Phew! Grover sighed in relief. That was quick thinking, Bianca, but how did you know that there was a subway right below the mall? Bianca shrugged, but she still looked pleased. I don't remember the station being there before, but I remember seeing it before when we passed by with Nico before when we used to live here. Wait, what do you mean? Naruto asked for clarification. That subway was always there, right? It can't just spring out of nowhere even with all the tech this world has. He's right, Bianca. Grover nodded. That station looked really old. I don't know, Bianca said. But when we lived here as kids, there was no subway. Wait, no subway at all? Talia pressed further. How long ago was that? Zoe asked, but Bianca wasn't able to answer as the sound of rotors once again came overhead. Looks like it found us again. Naruto muttered. We have to change trains,